and I fucking hate it. It is snowing after it was 70 degrees 1 week ago, and I cannot fucking stand it. But it's also Saturday, and you know what that means. We're live! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you to the channel right here on YouTube.com. As of course, you already know who I am, a Mr. Controversy, oh yeah, and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known Oh, you smell that? That's excellence right there, people. That is excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind. And this is the official Lightning Flash update for Saturday, March 12th, 2022. I feel it in my veins. I feel it in my bones. It's a good feeling. It's a very good feeling. Let's take a look at the chat right here. We got Peanuts. We got Adam Carl. We got Alan Holland. How you doing, brother? I'm glad that you've been stopping by recently. It's always great to see Mr. Alan Holland Jr. Lisa, glad to see you back as well. I thoroughly enjoy when Lisa enters the chat. She's got her new Greek Hades gimmick going on. So shout out to Lisa for that one. We have a lot to talk about as per usual. Another riveting, exciting episode of the Lightning Flash update live on YouTube.com. How am I coming in? Am I coming in good? I want to make sure my blue snowball mic is in tip-top shape. Please tell me if I'm coming in good. If not, I'll be sure to fix it. There's a lot of wrestling news coming out of this week in professional wrestling. Whether it be coming out of that great AEW Revolution pay-per-view, the best pay-per-view that AEW has ever put on thus far, and the best pay-per-view in pro wrestling this year. Thank you to Tony Khan for giving us real professional wrestling. You know, like it, go suck a dick. Whether it be coming out of that fantastic AEW Revolution pay-per-view or the fact that Monday Night Raw and SmackDown continue to be absolute dog shit, and the shocker on Shock Street, that being Dolph Ziggler. Yes, Dolph Ziggler is the new NXT champion. We're going to go over all of that. We're going to go over all of that and so much more. Shout out once again to Jay Aletto, who appeared on the rundown for AEW Revolution 2022. That was last Sunday. I greatly appreciate him taking the time out of his day to appear on my channel. Hopefully we get to do it again very, very soon. And Adam Carl, yeah, you're right. That is WrestleMania 31 in the background right there. So, let's talk about the news, rumors, and reports. But first things first. If you haven't already done so, you got to make sure you follow me on social media, even though I fucking hate being on social media because it's an absolute sea of retardation, right down to the very last letter. Retards everywhere on social media. But if you want to follow me there and catch up to date on my thoughts on professional wrestling, and whenever I go live, I always tweet it out and send it out on all my other social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at real_DJ_Storms. That is real_DJ_Storms on both Twitter and Instagram. You can add me on Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Please make sure you like the official DJ Storms business page, and I might just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms, a passe group on Facebook. That is, all of those links are in the description. If you haven't already done so, please make sure you like the stream. Hit that like button when you come on in. It is ultra, ultra, ultra important because it helps me out. It helps the stream out. It helps the channel out. It's all about getting more eyes on DJ Storms because DJ Storms is the best. DJ Storms is the best in the fucking world. Not too many people know that yet, but DJ Storms is indeed the best in the world, and we want to make sure everyone is aware of that fact. That is a fact of life. Tribute to LA Knight right there. So make sure you share out the stream and you like it. Share it out on all platforms of social media. I'm talking about Twitter, talking about Instagram, I'm talking about Facebook, and I'm talking about Tumblr and Pinterest, Snapchat, and TikTok. Make sure you share out the stream on all platforms of social media. It is ultra, ultra, ultra vital that you do so. After you do so, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you'll know whenever I pop up on YouTube, because whenever I pop up on YouTube, baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube because it is the only time you gonna get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. Give me one sec. One single solitary second right here. This is Earl Cole's favorite part because we're gonna light it up right here on the channel with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of because everybody wants a piece of the Stormsmeister. I see Hooligrim is in the chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Hooligrim. Very much, Mr. Hooligrim, for coming on in and stopping by and watching good old DJ Storms. You came by to watch little old me. Anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion and the advertisements. Let's get straight into the news, rumors, and reports because we got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin. The fact that he is coming back to modern-day WWE television in its own right is absolutely ridiculous, and for obvious reasons. The fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming back just goes to show you how desperate WWE really is, and if you are trying to tell me otherwise, I have no problem looking you dead in the eye and calling you for what you are, and that is a fucking retard, and it's 1,000% justified me doing so. Steve Carrier of Ringside News, they reported Stone Cold Steve Austin's status for WrestleMania 38. He tweeted out, during Raw, did Steve Carrier, and I quote, Steve Austin's WrestleMania status hasn't been, quote-unquote, scaled back. There were some reports that they scaled back on Steve Austin, even showing up at WrestleMania. He said that that has not been the case. He never agreed to work a match in the first place. That's what the tweet said. The tweet continued on by saying, we were told he's doing the KO show, and it's a negotiation in terms of creative, money, legacy, and Austin's ability to deliver what the audience would expect of him. End quote. I have an immense amount of respect for Stone Cold Steve Austin for not agreeing to return to the ring. I have an immense amount of respect for Stone Cold Steve Austin agreeing not to return to the ring because it is an absolute desperate attempt, as I've said before, for ratings, for interest. It is a cheap way to sell some tickets and get a nostalgia pop and attempt to wow the crowd for about 10 minutes or however long this segment goes at WrestleMania. But ultimately, Stone Cold Steve Austin agreed not to do the match. So he's just doing the KO show. I don't mind this at all, in the sense of, okay, he's not wrestling, so they're just going to have him go out there and have a segment with Kevin Owens. The promo battle between the two of them could be semi-entertaining. Fine. But at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not he's doing a match or he's appearing on the KO show, I've stated this before. I stated this during Raw when I was tweeting about it. This is a lose-lose situation because at the end of the day, you're still taking up time from a young, up-and-coming wrestler, and WWE hasn't given any time. They haven't given any effort. They haven't given any sort of feeling that they care for anyone other than Roman, Lesnar, Charlotte, and Becky. They've put all their eggs into those individuals' baskets while neglecting everyone else. And what exactly is this going to do? We're going to get a nice, entertaining promo. Yeah, sure. But what's going to happen in the end? You honestly think Kevin Owens is going to stand tall? You honestly think Kevin Owens is going to get one up on Stone Cold Steve Austin? No. This is going to end with Stone Cold Steve Austin giving Kevin Owens a stunner. Owens is going to look like a chump, and the $3 million deal that was given to Owens, it would ultimately make Owens look stupid, regardless of whether or not he's doing this for his family. I really hope it's worth it. I hope it's fucking worth it because you're being booked like shit, Mr. Owens. But I'm glad that he's not competing in a match. I see some people, they're crying, they're getting all pissy. Why are you pissy that Stone Cold Steve Austin is not wrestling? Why? You're okay with Stone Cold Steve Austin coming back to wrestle when individuals like Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, Cesaro, who just left the company, individuals like that, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, all these individuals that could be top-tier competitors on the show, all these individuals that should have matches on the show, people like Pete Dunne, who I'll get into later on in the stream because I got some shit to say about Pete Dunne, or Butch, as they're calling Pete Dunne now. I got some shit to say about him. All of these individuals that should be in that spotlight, that should be in a higher place on the card. Rollins doesn't even have a WrestleMania match. It's rumored to be Cody, but we don't even know if Cody's even going to show up. It could be a work, it could not be a work. I don't know what's going on with Cody Rhodes. But as far as Kevin Owens goes, the fact that he's in this position with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold is taking up a spot from yet another up-and-coming rising talent, an aging legend, a person that isn't even a professional wrestler being put on the card, and someone who's been there all year round, who deserves to be in that spot, who has worked their fucking ass off and could easily be a main event level guy, like a Mustafa Ali, like a Cedric Alexander, like a Mansoor, like a Humberto Carrillo or an Angel Garza, Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders. I don't understand why they're not in a prime spotlight at WrestleMania. Shinsuke Nakamura, he's stuck in a tag team with Rick Boogs competing against the Usos. More likely than not, they're going to win the tag team titles. At the end of it all, it all goes back to the fact that WWE doesn't fucking create new stars. They don't create new stars, and they always revert back to the same lame tactics that don't get the job done in the end. They have a big pop for one night and nothing happens afterwards. The ratings go right back down and the interest level goes right back down to where it was before they brought in this non-wrestler or an aging legend. Zero. Nothing. Zero interest, zero intrigue, zero buzz, zero increase in ratings. Nothing will happen. It's WrestleMania season and they haven't even peaked a 2 million. I find it so funny how people always get on AEW's case for not peaking 1 million consistently. Meanwhile, WWE, it's been WrestleMania season, supposedly the biggest season out of any time of the year to be a professional wrestling fan, and they haven't even peaked 2 million. Meanwhile, AEW, how many times have they peaked 1 million this year? At least 5 or 6. I'm glad Stone Cold is not wrestling, but the fact that he's even on the show, taking up a spot away from a young up-and-coming talent, it's disgusting. And people need to understand that and stop supporting it. Stop supporting an aging legend taking up a spot away from a rising star and full-time talent. People want to compare this to Sting. I'm sorry. When was the last time Sting was beating Hangman Page for the World Championship? When was the last time Sting was beating Sammy Guevara? When was the last time Sting was beating someone like a Darby Allin? When was the last time Sting was beating someone like that? I can't remember. Never happened. That's why. So, that's Stone Cold status for WrestleMania. I got a report on AEW Revolution. That took place last Sunday, which was a great pay-per-view. Fightful Select reported that the finish for Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa at Revolution was changed multiple times. The report from Fightful stated, and I quote, "The AEW Women's Championship match between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Thunder Rosa had the finish changed multiple times in the weeks that preceded AEW Revolution. We weren't given a reason as to why, but the company is clearly setting up a rematch for the St. Patrick's Day Slam show in Thunder Rosa's hometown in a couple of weeks." Now, I was shocked when Britt Baker retained and Thunder Rosa lost at Revolution. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were shocked. A lot of people expected Thunder Rosa to win that match. Now, looking back on it, after what happened, literally an hour later, after the finish took place, then all of a sudden, we go into a scenario where we get this world title eliminator, and Thunder Rosa is fighting Layla Hirsch, and she beat Layla Hirsch. We'll talk about that later on when we get to the Dynamite portion of the review. She beat Layla Hirsch, and we're all thinking to ourselves, okay, now we understand what they're doing. To be quite honest with you, Britt Baker coming out on top at Revolution was absolutely the right outcome. Absolutely the right outcome. And I'll explain to you why. The reason why is because think about Revolution and how stacked of a show it was. We had so many memorable moments on Revolution's card. So many moments that legitimately captivated us and got us talking throughout the next couple of days. So, if Thunder Rosa would have won the championship at Revolution, honestly, it would have been overshadowed by everything else that took place, with Moxley and Bryan competing in that bloodbath, and then William Regal showing up, Eddie Kingston winning the big one, Wardlow getting his crowning moment in the face of the Revolution ladder match, that match of the year candidate with the Bucks, Red Dragon, and Jurassic Express, that crazy fucking Tornadoes Trios match, that excellent main event with Adam Page and Adam Cole. Thunder Rosa's win at Revolution would have felt flat. And honestly, Thunder Rosa's championship win against Britt Baker, that right there, with the story that they have and the feud that they have, which was the best feud and still is the best feud in AEW women's division history, that should have its own moment. That should have its own moment, and that should have its own spotlight. With how stacked of a show Revolution was, there's no way it was going to have its own spotlight. So Britt Baker coming out victorious, that right there was the right outcome. The match itself, it was okay, but it wasn't anything that we're going to remember. Now they have their own spotlight at St. Patrick's Day Slam. Now it's inside a steel cage, and they're main eventing the show. Now everyone's going to be talking about that match for the next couple days after that match takes place, and everyone's going to be talking about Thunder Rosa beating Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. Britt Baker's had a fantastic reign. Her matches have been great. I hate the fucking fact that Rebel and Jamie Hayter always have to get involved, but Britt Baker's had a fantastic title reign. Now it's time to take it off of her. This right here is a picture-perfect example of long-term storytelling. Instead of doing it at Revolution, where the win would have been overshadowed, now they're doing it at the same exact show in which Baker and Thunder Rosa main evented the show 1 year ago, in that lights out unsanctioned match. Now it's in a steel cage match, and Thunder Rosa is going to beat Britt Baker for that women's championship, and things are going to come full circle. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's simple. It's straightforward. Simple. I have no problem with what they did at Revolution. This right here, picture perfect scenario of long-term storytelling. Now we get this iconic moment at St. Patrick's Day Slam, 1 year after the lights out unsanctioned match. Brilliant. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has been in the news like fucking crazy. Seriously. Cody Rhodes has been in the news like fucking crazy. He's been in a major news topic coming from virtually every single source in the community. Dave Meltzer stated that Cody was currently off of the internal plans for WrestleMania 38. Ringside News then came out with dueling reports saying that he was on the internal documents before coming out the next day saying that he was off the internal documents. Sean Ross Sapp, he came out on Fightful, and I believe, I'm not sure if it was, I think it might have been the Monday Night Raw review. It may have been the NXT review. I don't know. I don't know when they were talking about Cody because I don't listen to Fightful. I don't like Sean Ross Sapp. I think he's a stooge right down to the very last letter. Not a fan of Sean Ross Sapp. But he reported on Fightful that he still believes that Cody will be going to WWE, and he stated, "I think he will eventually. I don't know why they wouldn't pay him the same kind of money that AJ and Kevin Owens are making. I don't know if that's the hang-up." End quote. I don't know what's going on over there. To be quite honest with you, it's pretty much the same thing that we've been hearing about Cody Rhodes for the last however many weeks now, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. So to be quite honest with you, I don't want to hear anything about Cody Rhodes anymore. All I want to do is just wait and see what happens. Just let it play out. Just let things happen. Let nature take its course. Let the days go by. If he shows up, he shows up. I'd like to hope that he's treated well in WWE, but I don't have faith. If he goes back to AEW, potentially turns heel, or potentially becomes the promoter of Ring of Honor, we could see that. I don't know. All I am hoping for is that things work out well and Cody Rhodes is treated wherever he goes like the main event talent that he is. Because Cody Rhodes is a main event level professional wrestler. We'll see what happens. Sean Ross Sapp also reported that Miro, the Redeemer, he has re-signed a 4-year extension with AEW that will carry him to the beginning of 2026. Good. That way we could very well see Miro potentially become the AEW World Champion. I don't think he's going to become the world champion this year, but I will say this. Miro, he is due back any day now. I do believe that we should see him sometime in the next few weeks, and I do believe that Miro will be Adam Page's next opponent because there's a lot of conflicting theories and reports going around. Who's Adam Page going to lose the title to? Are they going to go forth with MJF at Double or Nothing? Or are they going to have CM Punk take it off of Hangman Page and then drop it to MJF down the line? And things will come full circle for that feud. Maybe we see Punk drop it to MJF and MJF becomes an even bigger heel and an even bigger megastar by beating Punk, this time for the World Championship. I don't know. There's a lot of conflicting reports. But Miro, I don't know when Miro is coming back, but he should be due back any day now. He healed up a quad injury or a hamstring injury, and then he went to film a movie. I would like to believe that the movie's done filming. So right now we're in a scenario where we're waiting for Miro to come back. And if Miro comes back, I'd love to see him get some wins and actually fight Adam Page for the World Championship. I think that would be a fantastic match for Adam Page. It would really boost Adam Page's credibility. And if you are going to have CM Punk take the title off of Adam Page, I would wait until Chicago to do it. I would wait until All Out in September to do it. That's the best possible route to go. That's the best possible way to do things. I wouldn't mind if we see it at Double or Nothing because that's a pay-per-view level match, but I don't know who they're going to have Adam Page go up against at Double or Nothing. Maybe it is Miro. Maybe they do another match with Adam Cole. I don't know. Who else is there besides Miro and CM Punk? MJF, it seems all but confirmed that MJF is going to fight Wardlow, and he's going to fuck over Wardlow's chances of winning the TNT Championship next week at St. Patrick's Day Slam. I don't know. A lot of questions, but you know what? I feel as though that's a very, very good feeling of unpredictability with AEW. I would absolutely have Miro come back, and he should be put in a world championship program with Adam Page. He's not going to win. But Adam Page versus Miro sounds like a great fucking world championship match. That should be Adam Page's next opponent. Speaking of AEW, Scorpio Sky shocked everyone by winning the TNT Championship this past Wednesday from Sammy Guevara. Congratulations to Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky is very, very good. Fightful, they reported that Scorpio Sky's TNT title win had been planned back for as late as 2021. So the last few months of 2021, that was in the books. Now, my guess is that, considering that Cody was feuding with American Top Team and Men of the Year at the time, it seemed as though we were going to be on the cusp of seeing Scorpio Sky versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, and we could have been seeing Scorpio Sky beat Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, but that didn't happen because Cody, he lost to Sammy Guevara in that fantastic ladder match, and he did not resign with AEW. So it seems as though Cody, he kind of altered the plans there a little bit. So instead of Scorpio beating Cody for it, Scorpio beat Sammy for it. Now, I'm not sure what's going on over there, but regardless of that, I'm very, very happy for Scorpio Sky's TNT title win, considering they had it planned back as late 2021. I don't see Scorpio Sky losing. We will not be seeing Wardlow win the TNT title now. I am not anticipating Wardlow taking the title. If it was against Sammy, I would say yeah. If he was fighting Sammy, I would say yeah. Wardlow's absolutely winning it, but he's facing Scorpio. Scorpio just won the championship. Can't really take the title off Scorpio. Scorpio actually deserves a run with the championship considering how good he's been, especially in this heel role. Wardlow will get his time, but right now he's fighting MJF. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that feud, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Wardlow versus MJF, that right there is the proper feud and the proper way to go about things going into Double or Nothing. You need to build up Double or Nothing to be just as big, if not bigger than Revolution. I don't think they're going to outdo what they did at Revolution, but I will say this. MJF and Wardlow, it's definitely going to help the pay-per-view. I do not see Scorpio Sky losing the TNT title next week. If he does, I'm actually going to say it's the wrong decision. It's the wrong decision to have Scorpio only have a one-week title reign. There should be no such thing as a transitional champion. Transitional champions and that concept needs to die. Speaking of American Top Team, Paige Van Zant, she signed her all-elite contract on Ty Conti's ass. Pretty sure that a lot of people were grinning from ear to ear at the sight of that. They want to be in Paige Van Zant's position. Paige Van Zant is said to be training in pro wrestling at Coastal Championship Wrestling with David Heath, otherwise known as Gangrel. So I'm actually very, very happy that she is training with someone like Gangrel. I heard good things about Gangrel. Gangrel actually trained a lot of people. If I'm not mistaken, who did he train? Who the fuck did he train? Fuck, I can't remember. He trained someone in AEW. Trained a couple of people in AEW. Did he train Scorpio Sky? Did he train Ethan Page? I don't know. I could have sworn he trained someone in AEW. Either way, Gangrel's a great trainer, and I fully expect Paige Van Zant to be ready for her spotlight in professional wrestling very, very soon. And the fact that she's fighting Ty Conti, it really goes to show you how much investment they have in Ty Conti. They're putting her in that position to help get over Paige Van Zandt. You love to see the opportunities being gifted to these up-and-coming rising stars. So good for Paige Van Zandt and good for Ty Conti. Seth Rollins, his WrestleMania opponent was apparently revealed from Dave Meltzer. Apparently, his WrestleMania opponent was revealed to be Paige. I'm still talking about Paige Van Zandt. Not Paige. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I don't think anyone would mind wrestling Paige Van Zandt. I don't think her husband would have, I don't think her husband would be too keen of that. But Seth Rollins, his opponent was originally slated to be Shane McMahon. Yes, you heard me correctly. Shane McMahon apparently was supposed to have this big moment and a big role at WrestleMania 38. His opponent was Seth Rollins. Now, could it have been a decent match? Yeah, probably could have been a decent match. Shane McMahon's very good at what he does. Seth Rollins very good. But at the end of the fucking day, Shane McMahon should have never been on WrestleMania's card or plans to begin with. Should have never been on the card or the plans to begin with. And Seth Rollins deserves a hell of a lot better than that. Rollins deserves a hell of a lot better than being a temporary opponent for Shane McMahon. He's been doing the best work of his career, and look at how he's been treated. The match with Roman at the Rumble didn't even end clean. Then he got treated like a piece of trash against Brock Lesnar at the Elimination Chamber. Then him and Owens lost the Raw Tag Team title match. So I'm failing to understand where Seth Rollins is supposed to be getting his just due. Don't really understand that. I'm wondering why didn't you do Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins for the United States Championship? And we'll talk about Damian Priest. You know, Damian Priest, he just turned heel. And even though it was necessary, again, I stated last week, WWE is a serious babyface problem. There's no top-tier babyfaces to be in the main event scene outside of Matt Riddle. And Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, they just won back the Raw Tag Team titles. There's no top-tier babyfaces. You could have salvaged Damian Priest's babyface championship title reign by having him fight and beat Seth Rollins for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. That didn't work out. Now we're going to get a rematch between Balor and Priest after we've already seen it. It's fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Where does Rollins go? I don't know. Apparently, WrestleVotes is talking about Seth Rollins. He doesn't have a clear-cut plan for obvious reasons. I'm guessing that has something to do with Cody Rhodes and the fact that Shane McMahon, he got fired by his own father. The big one for today. Bron Breakker. Bronathan Breakker. Bronson Rex Steiner. The son of Rick Steiner. Of the Steiner brothers. Bron Breakker this past Tuesday at NXT Roadblock, he lost the NXT Championship. A great triple threat match. But he lost the NXT Championship to Dolph Ziggler. Yes, you heard me correctly. Dolph Ziggler is the fucking NXT champion. Pathetic, right? Very, very pathetic. Dave Meltzer, he reported that after losing the NXT Championship to Dolph Ziggler, Bron Breakker is slated to be called up to the main roster sooner rather than later. Meltzer stated he lost to set up the fact that he's going to win the title, talking about Ziggler. Ziggler lost to Bron Breakker on Raw to set up the fact that he was going to win the title on NXT. Meltzer then continued by saying, there is talk of him, Bron Breakker, going to the main roster pretty quickly. He's wrestling on this weekend's house shows. Maybe he'll lose and just go to the main roster. I don't know. Him and Gable Steveson are supposed to be main roster bound. That's a tough comparison because Bron Breakker is going to make it. Gable Steveson is a phenomenal athlete, though. End quote. Now, Gable Steveson, I haven't heard anything about Gable Steveson as of lately. I don't know how he's going to be when it comes to WWE and the fact that he is within WWE. Again, it just goes to show you how fucking pathetic they are, and the fact that they constantly have to go out of their way to get amateur athletes from amateur pro wrestling, and they need to go out and get failed football players and failed lacrosse and hockey and basketball and baseball players. It's stupid. Focus on gaining professional wrestlers. Because regardless of what anyone wants to say, WWE is a pro wrestling company. Start acting like it. Bron Breakker is the main topic of conversation. I don't know what the fuck's going on with Gable Steveson. Quite frankly, right now, I don't care, because as much as WWE wants him to be, he's never going to be the next Kurt Angle. He's not. Bron Breakker lost the NXT Championship to Dolph Ziggler this past Tuesday, and I'm telling you right now, it was absolutely the worst decision that they could have made. I understand that you're high on Bron Breakker. I get it. I understand that you're high on Bron Breakker. Trust me. I'm a Bron Breakker fan myself. I'm a Bron Breakker fan myself. A lot of people are Bron Breakker fans. Bron Breakker has grown and matured as quickly as I've ever seen. Bron Breakker is a great athlete. Bron Breakker has a ton of potential. Bron Breakker has the potential to be a future main eventer. I get it. But I don't understand what the rush is. Bron Breakker, no matter how good he is right now, he's not ready. And I don't give a shit what you or anyone else says. This is a fucking fact. Bron Breakker is not ready. He's moving a lot more fluidly in the ring, but there are times where he doesn't know what he wants to do next. There are times where he's a little stiff, and there are times where he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what he wants to do next in the ring. On top of that, he's only been in NXT for 7 months. He hasn't even had the opportunity to fucking establish himself yet. Let him continue to evolve and establish himself. Bron Breakker shouldn't have been in the conversation to lose the NXT Championship and get called up to the main roster until the summer. We should not have been talking about that until SummerSlam was over. That is when we could have been discussing Bron Breakker getting called up to the main roster. Bron Breakker, there is still work to be done with Bron Breakker. And on top of that, the only reason that WWE is calling up Bron Breakker right now, and they put the title on Ziggler, well, they put the title on Ziggler because, A, they're fucking desperate. They're fucking desperate for ratings, because now they realize that their way ain't doing it. Their way ain't fucking cutting it. And NXT right now, it's a dead brand. No one gives a shit about NXT. Rampage beats them. Rampage has been beating them. No one gives a shit about NXT. And they think that Dolph Ziggler magically is going to bring some awareness and new eyes to NXT, which is not going to happen, because Dolph Ziggler, he was already a dead act on the main roster, a fantastic wrestler, but he's a dead act. Now, if the plan is to have Bron Breakker win the title back at Stand and Deliver, why did Dolph Ziggler need to win the championship to have a meaningless 1-month championship title reign only to drop it right back to Bron Breakker? Do you realize how fucking stupid that is? Do you realize how stupid that is? It's so fucking retarded. I don't understand what the concept is behind 1-month, 2-month championship title reigns. It does no good. It does absolutely no good at all. So let's say Bron Breakker wins the title back. Why the fuck did he need to lose it in the first place? Why exactly couldn't we have had Bron Breakker win the triple threat match by pitting Ciampa? Then Ziggler would have had the opportunity to say, hey, I was never pinned. Give me a rematch. They've done that however many fucking times. How many fucking times has WWE done a scenario where someone loses a triple threat match, but they weren't the one pinned, and then they end up getting a one-on-one match for said championship at a later date? You could have done the same fucking thing with Ziggler. You do that enough as it is on the main roster, you could have done the same fucking thing with Dolph Ziggler. They didn't do that. So now what? Now we're stuck with Ziggler as the NXT champion, and if Bron Breakker wins the title back, I'm going to question why you even took the title off of Bron Breakker to begin with. You fucked up Bron Breakker's momentum. You fucked up his momentum. You could have kept the title on him and had him pin Ciampa. Then he could have went into Stand and Deliver to beat Ziggler, and then that would have been the end of it. Ziggler is a dead act with or without the fucking championship. Ziggler shouldn't have even been in the conversation to win the championship or make an appearance on NXT. Now, if Bron Breakker's being called up to the main roster, they're doing it because they legitimately have no one else. This is part of that babyface problem that I was telling you about. WWE is a serious babyface problem in which they have either released all the top-tier individuals that could have been top-tier babyfaces, like a Keith Lee, like a Cesaro, people like that, like a Buddy Matthews, like a Malachi Black. They all could have been top-tier babyfaces. They all could have been top-tier pro wrestling babyfaces, and you either fired them, or with the individuals that you have on the roster, you've either turned the individuals that could have been top-tier babyfaces, you turned them heel. Kevin Owens, you turned Damian Priest heel. You treated Big E like shit. Who is going to be the next top-tier babyface? So they're calling up Bron Breakker to fill a void that they created. It's their own fault that they don't have any top-tier babyfaces and they don't have any top-tier athletes to take over for the old guard once they can't do it anymore. So they're calling up a Bron Breakker. But here's the thing. Who is there to replace Bron Breakker in NXT? If Bron Breakker gets called up to the main roster, who takes the title off of Dolph Ziggler? Ciampa's going up. Bron Breakker potentially going up. Pete Dunne is already on the main roster. Then you got LA Knight, who could very well be called up to the main roster. I'm fucking scared of what they're going to call LA Knight. All these fucking people are getting called up to the main roster. What the fuck are you going to do with NXT? NXT is going to become an absolute wasteland, if not already. It's full of a bunch of inexperienced non-wrestlers that became wrestlers who don't know what the fuck they're doing and aren't seasoned enough to actually go in there and deliver a 5-star classic, which, by the way, is sorely needed in WWE right now. Bron Breakker is not ready. And if you're calling up Bron Breakker this early and you're going to push him in a top-tier babyface spotlight, you do understand that you're running a risk. And you are running a very, 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 very big risk. And you're walking a very thin line because the crowd, they didn't give two shits about Bron Breakker. You're having him smile and do all these stereotypical babyface mannerisms and cliches. You're running a big, big risk and walking a very thin line of having Bron Breakker become the new Roman Reigns. I'm not talking about this Roman Reigns. I'm talking about Roman Reigns from 7 years ago. I'm talking about the Roman Reigns from 2014, 2015, going on into that match with Goldberg at WrestleMania 36 before he took a 5-month hiatus and came back to be the number one heel. I am talking about that horrendous, failed babyface Roman Reigns run. I am talking about that absolutely terrible, terrible period where we had to endure, where Roman Reigns was the top babyface, and that's all that they focused on. The show was the Roman Reigns show. That shit right there was unbearable. That was unbearable. And you are going to run a very, very thin line of having Bron Breakker become 2015, 2016, 2007 Roman Reigns. And no one wants to be that version of Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was a fucking failure in that role. Absolute failure. Worse than Cena. Worse than Hogan. Worse than the Ultimate Warrior. Roman Reigns, until he turned heel, was the absolute worst hand-picked guy from Vince McMahon in the entire history of WWE. Roman Reigns was a failure in that role. Then he became the tribal chief. You're running a very, very thin line. Walking a very thin line, and you are playing a very dangerous, dangerous, dangerous game with Bron Breakker potentially getting called up to the main roster and being pushed as a top-tier babyface. Seriously. Bron Breakker should not be on the main roster now. too early. For his sake, I hope he wins the NXT Championship back at Stand and Deliver. Because if he doesn't, and he goes up to the main roster on Raw, things are not looking good for him. They're not. Those are your news, rumors, and reports. Thank you all for stopping by. DD just joined. Always great to see a DD. Always great to see everyone here in the chat. I hope you guys have been enjoying the stream so far. We got plenty more material to discuss and plenty more material to talk about. We're going to get into the Monday Night Raw review. And I did not really take too many notes on the Monday Night Raw review because, quite frankly, the show sucked. I didn't really give a shit about it. But then again, Monday Night Raw, it is terrible 99.9999999% of the time. And I cannot fucking stand Monday Night Raw. I really wish that I could just stop and I wouldn't have to watch it. So, we got Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, they kick off the show. They were hyping up their match for the tag team titles. Gable came out with Otis. You know, they actually changed the Alpha Academy's theme song. Legitimately, they changed the Alpha Academy's theme song to have a shoosh in the beginning. Typical WWE, always need to make things uncool. They always need to over-accentuate and make things uncool. Now, I don't want to hear a shoosh ever again. Fucking put it in the beginning of their theme song. How fucking retarded. Blah, blah, blah. RK Bro then cut a promo. That was it. And we get the Raw Tag Team title match. Same stereotypical, middle of the road, blah, 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 blah. Stereotypical, open to Monday Night Raw, and no one gives a shit. Same old shit. The best thing on this show was indeed the Raw Tag Team Championship match. After that, the show completely dipped in quality. So let's go over the match. And then we will talk about everything that came out of this match. So the match itself was great. I would highly encourage you to go back and rewatch this match. It really makes me wish WWE would put some effort into their tag team division. The match itself was great. So RK Bro, Alpha Academy, and Owens and Rollins, Raw Tag Team titles. Owens and Rollins were in control early with a nice swanton bomb by Kevin Owens for a near fall. Coming back from commercial, Otis was in control. Riddle got the hot tag to Orton. He lit up Gable and Rollins. We had an RKO to Rollins. Owens saved the match. We had a back suplex on the announce table to Gable, to Owens, and then Riddle and Orton back suplexed Otis on the table. They took over. Coming back from a second commercial, Riddle with a floating bro. Owens saved that match. He saved that pinfall from happening. Randy Orton with a backbreaker to Kevin Owens. We had a Vader bomb and a moonsault combo by the Alpha Academy. Rollins saved that match. We had a Tower of Doom superplex. Everyone was down. We had a face-off with all of these teams. A third commercial break. Riddle then locked in a triangle on Rollins coming back from commercial. Gable with a diving headbutt to break it up. German suplexes. This was great. Chad Gable is so underappreciated. We had roll-through German suplexes to Rollins, Orton, and Riddle, one after the other. Chad Gable is fantastic. We had an RKO. This was gorgeous right here. Gable went for the moonsault, and he hit a beautiful moonsault, and then in midair, coming down from the moonsault, Randy Orton caught Chad Gable in an RKO. Lovely spot. Absolutely fucking amazing spot right there. Love that. So, then, after Orton Orton took out Gable. Rollins and Owens then took out everyone. He hit a buckle bomb, stunner, and a stomp combination. 1, 2, 3, one after the other. Buckle bomb, stunner, stomp combination on Chad Gable. Riddle then threw Rollins out of the ring, and RK Bro RK Bro won the tag team titles with Riddle pinning Chad Gable. First off, now the match was great, but let's be quite honest here. It is clear as day as to why WWE added Rollins and Owens to this match. It's clear as day why they added Rollins and Owens to this match. They added Rollins and Owens to this match. Because of what AEW was doing at Revolution. Not sure if you guys realize this, but Revolution was a great show, and the best match of the night was Jurassic Express, Red Dragon, and the Young Bucks in a triple threat tag team match, and it was a phenomenal fucking match. Now, that match was already confirmed a few weeks ago. WWE decided to add Rollins and Owens to the tag team title match between RK Bro and the Alpha Academy, coincidentally, a week after this triple threat tag team match was announced. And clearly, after what happened at Revolution, WWE, they're like, you know what? We're going to top this. And it was a cheap attempt to top it. They did not top it. They tried. All 6 men worked their ass off, but they did not top it. They didn't top it. I bring that up because more and more as the weeks go on, it is clear as day that WWE is intimidated. They are intimidated by AEW, and they see AEW as a threat because now they're trying to one-up AEW, but they say that AEW is not competition. They try and make up some bullshit excuse for some shady news source trying to claim that AEW is putting their female competitors in danger, or AEW is just WCW 2.0. Some type of bullshit excuse that WWE wants to claim to try and invalidate AEW's success. It's an absolute fucking joke. They want to say, oh yeah, they're not competition. Meanwhile, you're openly trying to upstage them. What a fucking joke. Seriously, an absolute fucking joke. That's number one. WWE is intimidated by AEW. Number two, why did you give the titles back to RK Bro? Who exactly are they facing at WrestleMania? And depending on who they're facing, are they going to retain or are they going to lose? And if they lose, then I'm going to ask another question. But as far as RK Bro winning goes, I don't understand why you even bothered to take the titles off of RK Bro back in January to begin with. Why exactly did you take the championships off of RK Bro, give them to the Alpha Academy, if you did not have a solid plan to make the Alpha Academy the top tag team on Monday Night Raw? The Alpha Academy's championship title reign was terrible. It was terrible. And it goes to show you, it really does go to show you that WWE, they don't give a shit and they have absolutely no long-term plans for anyone unless your name is Roman Reigns. Why did you even bother taking the titles off of RK Bro if you weren't going to invest in the Alpha Academy? Now the Alpha Academy will have and will go down in history as one of the most forgettable tag teams to hold the tag team titles. I guarantee you right now, by the time WrestleMania season's over, maybe I'll be generous, by the time the summer starts, people will have even forgotten, they will have completely forgotten that the Alpha Academy were even tag team champions. If you weren't planning on investing in the Alpha Academy, why the fuck did you put the titles on them? Only to put the titles back on RK Bro. If this was the case, RK Bro should still be the tag team champions. Absolutely fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. It pisses me off. It absolutely pisses me off. If you weren't going to invest in the Alpha Academy, then RK Bro should have never lost the tag team titles to them. Now they're the tag team champions again. Now, depending on what happens at WrestleMania, what exactly are you going to do? Is the Alpha Academy going to get a rematch for the championships? Are we going to see the Street Profits potentially get involved? And if so, are they going to win? And if they win, I don't understand why you couldn't have kept the titles on RK Bro throughout WrestleMania season, had them lose at WrestleMania, and then you could have done the heel turn with Randy Orton RKOing Matt Riddle. If you weren't planning on investing in the Alpha Academy and turning Riddle into the biggest babyface on the show, with Orton becoming a dick heel again, why did you take the titles off of them? WWE, they do not have a single fucking clue about what they want to do. It is all a mishmash, an overly convoluted fucking mess. And they wonder why the WrestleMania season that they're putting on this year, and they wonder why the WrestleMania build is not well received. They wonder why people don't give a shit about what they're doing. They wonder why the ratings continue to get lower and lower, and they wonder why there's no buzz around their product. They never have a solid plan. RK Bro should have already been broken up by now, and we should have gotten RK Bro going into a match against each other at WrestleMania if you were going to take the titles off them. If not, RK Bro should have still remained the tag team champions. Dana Brooke versus Tamina for the 24/7 championship. Tamina, locked in a Walls of Jericho, actually looked pretty decent. So that's probably the very first wrestling move that Tamina actually did properly. I could do a Walls of Jericho better than Tamina, but then again, Tamina sucks dick. Best move that Tamina's ever done. Tamina then got rolled up. Dana Brooke retained the title. Tozawa then said that Dana Brooke cheated, and the winner of this match is the love of his life, Tamina. Tamina didn't embrace Tozawa, but then she looked back at Tozawa and actually blew him a kiss. Tozawa deserves a lot better. I don't know if you guys know this, but Tozawa is actually a fantastic professional wrestler. He could easily be in the United States or Intercontinental Championship title picture. Akira Tozawa is a phenomenal in-ring competitor. He's a real professional wrestler. He was one of the most consistent professional wrestlers that I've seen. He was putting on bangers on 205 Live with Murphy and Cedric and Tony Nese and Hideo Itami. Remember him? Kenta? Remember him? Kalisto, too. But now here he is, and he's relegated to walking around in a fucking ninja suit and in a love angle with Tamina. I feel bad for him. Get this shit off of TV. End this. End it. The Miz. Miz came out for Miz TV. He talked about how Dominic Mysterio disrespected him and Logan Paul. He introduced Logan Paul, and he hyped up the Miz and being in Cleveland because they're Cleveland homeboys. Miz said that he made it on his own. It was a two-man circle jerk session, pretty much. A two-man circle jerk session between the Miz and Logan Paul. Hyping up themselves, hyping up Cleveland. Jerry the King Lawler then came out. I had no idea Jerry the King Lawler was from Cleveland. Jerry then wanted to have WrestleMania in Cleveland. Paul said it was an awesome idea. Miz then ran down Cleveland and said that winners leave Cleveland. Logan Paul wasn't exactly all too keen on the Miz bashing Cleveland. Paul was talking to him like, dude, what the fuck you doing? I don't know about you, but that right there, there's a sneaking suspicion that Logan Paul and The Miz are going to lose to the Mysterios at WrestleMania. And I'm very, very, very concerned that we could very well see Logan Paul turn babyface on The Miz with Logan Paul versus The Miz being a real-life possibility coming after WrestleMania. WrestleMania Backlash, they say. I swear to God, if Logan Paul sticks around after WrestleMania, I may just have to put my head to a fucking wall. I swear to God. I don't understand why we even needed this segment. This should not have been on to get The Miz off of TV. The Miz needs to fucking... I'm counting down the days. Miz, the offer's still on the table. I will pay for your daughter's college fund. Retire. You make the show worse. I'd love for someone to name me one relevant thing that The Miz has done since his feud with Bryan Danielson in 2018 ended, minus the Bad Bunny match. Minus the Bad Bunny match, I want someone to tell me, what the fuck has The Miz done since that feud with Bryan Danielson in 2018 that's been so great? Tommaso Ciampa and Bron Breakker, they took on the Dirty Dogs. Decent little match right here. Bron Breakker won with the military press power slam, and then Ziggler promised to win the NXT title. And that was it. Tommaso Ciampa, he's still undefeated. Still undefeated on the main roster. I'm surprised that he's lasted that long. I'm actually surprised that he has still kept his name. I'm surprised that he's still kept his name. How long before he's just called Ciampa? How long before he's just called Ciampa? But Ciampa is 5-0 on the main roster. He remains undefeated. Good on him. Omos Raw versus Apollo Crews. Double choke bomb for the win. Crews is buried. Crews is buried. I feel bad for Apollo Crews. The fact that they put some effort into Apollo Crews when he was on SmackDown. He won the fucking Intercontinental title, and then they took it off of him, and they didn't even bother investing any time in him with this new Nigerian warrior gimmick. It's a fucking joke. It's an absolute fucking joke. So Omos then stared down Commander Aziz. I'm very, very scared here. I'm very scared that we could be looking at Omos versus Commander Aziz at WrestleMania. Pass me the bleach. Pass me the bleach. Edge came out. Edge came out with no theme music, with a singular spotlight on himself. Very similar to what Batista had as a heel, because Batista, during the last 6-7 months of his WWE run, Batista, who's a heel, probably the best run of his career, the best work of his career, was that last heel run by Batista as a full-time competitor. Not the one in 2014, the one from the end of 2009 to the beginning of 2010, when Batista was a heel. In the last 7 months of his WWE career, that right there was the best Batista that we've seen. That's what this singular spotlight on Edge reminded me of. Now, Batista's a fucking retard now. He's a liberal beta male. He's a cuck. But back then, that's when Batista was cool. Now Batista's a loser. So, Edge walked into the ring with no music. He stood in the ring. He looked around and he goes, "You think you know me? Clearly you don't, AJ. I'll speak to you, AJ. Put the ladies to bed. Put the kiddies to bed. What I did last week, I helped you. I need the best, AJ. And you helped me too. I found a me that I fell in love with. I feel in control. I'm standing on top of a mountain of omnipotence, and the view is phenomenal." Like I said last week, Edge versus AJ Styles, legitimately the only match besides Pat McAfee and Austin Theory. And I'm not even counting them in terms of a WrestleMania build. I'm just interested on what they could do in the ring. But Edge and AJ Styles, legitimately the only match on this year's card that feels WrestleMania worthy. And I'm not even counting Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. We've seen that match 8 times. It's not the biggest matchup in WrestleMania history. And everything that they've done leading up to this match, it's the same shit every week. And we'll be talking about that when we get to the SmackDown review. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan versus Carmella and Zelina Vega. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley win with the Riptide because Carmella decided to flirt with Corey Graves, her fiance, at ringside. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, just like Sasha and Naomi, that match should have been a women's title program and a women's title match going into WrestleMania. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley should be in a top-tier Raw Women's Championship title program, not Becky Lynch. But here they are fighting for the most worthless championships in the industry right next to the 24/7 title. Get rid of the women's tag team championships. There is no fucking division. Sasha and Naomi are not a tag team. A tag team and a shitty group from 7 years ago reuniting is not a legit tag team. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan are not a real tag team. Get rid of the fucking women's tag team titles. They mean nothing. Nothing. Finn Balor versus Austin Theory. Theory was in control. Balor came back with some stomps. Theory then with a brainbuster for a 2. Eye of the Hurricane and a shotgun dropkick by Balor. All of a sudden, Damian Priest came out and he caused a disqualification and blah, blah, blah. We're getting Damian Priest and Finn Balor at WrestleMania. Again, lose-lose situation. If Priest wins, where does Balor go? And why did you even bother giving Balor the U.S. title if you were just going to take it off of him at WrestleMania? If Balor wins, where does Priest go now that he's a newly turned heel? You're in a lose-lose situation. Why is Priest even heel? Other than the fact that you had to turn him heel because you fucked up. Main event segment, rather. Because let's be real, there's no main event professional wrestling. And WWE is a shit excuse for a wrestling company. Kevin Owens came out in the main event. He cut a promo. He said he found a plan to make it to WrestleMania. He says he wants to have the greatest KO show in history. Here's what I want. I want the KO show to disappear, and I want Kevin Owens to be wrestling in the ring. That's what I want. Owens talked about JBL, Booker T, and HBK. Owens then said, my guest is a shell of his former self, drinking beer like the redneck he is, and he wore knee braces because his knees were so banged up back in the day. I know you're watching, and I'm calling you out, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Who cares? Like I said, this is ending one way at WrestleMania, and it is a terrible way. This should not even be taking place. Owens should be either fighting for the U.S. title or the WWE title at WrestleMania, not in a KO show segment with fucking Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not with Stone Cold. This is ending one way. It's going to end with Kevin Owens catching the stunner and Kevin Owens looking like a chump with Stone Cold standing tall, and then Stone Cold is going to go away. And that's going to be it. Who gives a shit? If you are legitimately excited for this, then I'm going to look you dead in the face. I have no problem looking you dead in the face and telling you, you're the fucking problem with the community and society. You have no fucking brain. That was Monday Night Raw. Terrible fucking show. Not as bad as SmackDown. SmackDown was worse. But outside of that triple threat Raw tag team title match, this show sucked. It sucked. I appreciate you guys sticking by me. We are a little bit over an hour into the stream. We got 5 more shows to talk about. Let's talk about NXT Roadblock. I did watch NXT only because it was a special show. I'm probably not going to watch NXT for the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to review NXT for the next... I'll watch it to make myself aware, but I'm not going to fucking review it. I did take some notes on NXT Roadblock. The first hour fucking sucked. Second hour was great. Second hour had some really great wrestling. That much I will say. The second hour was awesome. If it was just a 1 hour show, a 1 hour and 15-minute show, I would have said it was the best NXT 2.0 episode we've ever seen. But the first hour fucking blowed. And that had to do with the fact that the women's division in NXT, it sucks. And the women's division in the entire WWE, it's just terrible. The WWE women's division is an utter embarrassment. And for anyone that wants to shit on the AEW women's division, look at the WWE women's division. Look at me with a straight face and tell me that they're doing any better. If you're going to tell me that they're doing better, you are motherfucking retarded. I swear to God. You are the most retarded individual on the face of the planet. You are a cancer. Cancer. Right down to the very last letter. First hour was terrible. So the show started off with Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade versus Dakota Kai and Wendy Chu. This was a women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic semifinal match. This was terrible. I don't know how anyone would find any enjoyment in this. This was terrible. Cora Jade is as green as grass. Not now because there's snow on the grass and it's going to turn it yellow, but Cora Jade is fucking green. And I'm not talking about Jade Cargill green, because Jade Cargill, she's a great type of green. Jade Cargill is actually getting better as time goes on. Right now, with how quickly Jade Cargill is improving, Jade Cargill, the only thing green about Jade Cargill is her hair. Cora Jade is not ready for television. Her offense is terrible. Her offense is terrible. Her offense is not impactful. She's very weak. And she's not very fluid either. She looks like she doesn't even know what she wants to do in the ring sometimes. She's not very good. Cora Jade is not very good. Dakota Kai and this new character that Dakota Kai is playing is a fucking embarrassment. Absolute fucking embarrassment. And Wendy Chu is nothing more than a copy and paste version of Orange Cassidy. The only one that I actually care about here is Raquel Gonzalez. And that's just because of what she can do in the ring. Because Raquel Gonzalez in the ring, she's a very good professional wrestler. I just fucking hate the fact that she has been relegated to this. Get her on the main roster and actually book her correctly. Raquel Gonzalez has been treated like shit. Absolute shit. Ever since she lost that title. And ever since the 2.0 era began. This match was terrible. Toxic Attraction attacked Raquel Gonzalez, sent her knee first into the post, and that was pretty much the story of the match. Gonzalez, she could not get the job done. Dakota Kai was fucking talking to herself and acting as if she was schizophrenic and head twitching and shit like that. It's fucking stupid. Kai and Chu win with a splash and a double stomp combination. Terrible. I would have absolutely gone with Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade in the finals. At least they're better than Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai. Wendy Chu and Dakota Kai make me want to legitimately make me want to turn off the fucking channel. Get this shit off the television. It's terrible. The Creed brothers, they were shown in the back. They had just been attacked in the parking lot, presumably by Imperium. It was never revealed who exactly attacked them, though. Then we had Phelan Henley, the former Tesha Price, who wrestled on AEW Dark during the pandemic. Tesha Price, a.k.a. Phelan Henley, she took on Tiffany Stratton. Stratton, listen, she's getting better here and there, but this daddy's girl, this prim, proper Barbie doll daddy's girl, this shit's terrible. It's awful. It's awful. It needs to go away. That shit needs to go away. It honestly needs to go away. The characters that some of these women have, you got Dakota Kai playing a schizophrenic lunatic Wendy Chu is a copy and paste version of Orange Cassidy. Lash Legend sucks. Flat out fucking sucks. Tiffany Stratton and this Daddy's Girl character is cringe. The only individual besides Mandy Rose that actually has a character that's working is Nikita Lyons. She's the only one that actually has a sense of intensity, a sense of legitimacy, besides Mandy Rose. And I actually believe that Nikita Lyons is going to be the next NXT Women's Champion. I would absolutely give that title to Nikita Lyons. Tiffany Stratton lost. Tiffany Stratton lost because Saray, who she's feuding with, Tiffany Stratton, came out of nowhere. And we saw Saray hit Stratton in the back. The ref didn't see it. Fallon then stole the win. The women's division sucks. Speaking of sucks, we had lashing out. Actually, you know what? Let me take a drink. Not lashing out. Hold on. Trashing out with Trash Legend. Lash Legend sucks. Stop justifying garbage. She can't wrestle. The character is cringe. All of this modernization, these ghetto type characters, these ghetto modern social media present type characters, they fucking suck. The only modern character in NXT 2.0 that's actually working is Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller is the only individual that's playing this social media playboy type of character that it's actually working. Outside of Grayson Waller, no modern character in NXT 2.0 is working. None. Women's division sucks. I hate it. I fucking hate it. So Nikita Lyons was on the show. We had a few minutes of back and forth words from Nikita Lyons and Lash Legend. Trash Legend then called Nikita Lyons' ass fake. Lyons said she's all natural. And she said that Lash is full of shit. So apparently we're getting that match. I hope Lash Legend gets fired. I really do. I don't call for anyone to lose their job, but Lash Legend holds no value. She holds absolutely no value. Moving on with the show, this was probably the best thing on the show up to this point. LA Knight and Grayson Waller. This was a last man standing match. This was great. And I said it before. I said that this right here, this was going to be the breakout performance that Grayson Waller needed. Because Grayson Waller, he's conducting himself well. But I don't know. There was something about Grayson Waller that wasn't really clicking. But I feel as though this was going to be the match that was going to really have him come out of his shell. This was going to be Grayson Waller's coming out party. And indeed it was. This was the best Grayson Waller match that I've ever seen. And this right here, it really did show everyone what Grayson Waller can really do. Because Grayson Waller, we've seen the fact that they got the 4 pillars of NXT 2.0. You know, AEW, they got their 4 pillars. NXT, they have their 4 pillars. They got Bron Breakker, Carmelo Hayes, Tony D'Angelo, and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller was looked at as the weakest of the 4 pillars. But Grayson Waller, he worked his ass off, and he showed everyone here that he's got a future. He's got a future, and he's going to be a big deal in due time. And this was a great match here with LA Knight. This was probably my second, probably the best match of the night, period. I'd say this was probably the best match of the night. So LA Knight attacked Waller right out of the gate. He was in control. Waller came back with a roll-through stunner. LA Knight then jumped to the top rope. He just caught Waller with a superplex. That could have ended badly. Nearly slipped on the ropes. LA Knight then with the BFT. The ref counted, but Waller got up. Waller then used a trash can lid to take out LA Knight. Waller then set up a table on the outside. The brawl spilled to the that big scaffold where NXT superstars, they stand on top to look over the PC. They look over the PC and they see all of the crowd, and they have that bird's eye view. They brawled onto that scaffold. LA Knight then shoved Waller off. They didn't show where he landed, but they showed that he was caught by Sanga. He was caught by Sanga. So Sanga then chokeslammed LA Knight on the apron. LA Knight then fought back, and he handcuffed Sanga to the ring post. So Sanga was neutralized. Knight then mounted a comeback with a nice jumping neck breaker. Waller then got tossed over the top, through the table to the floor. Great spot right there. Waller barely made it to his feet. Knight then put a trash can lid over Waller's head, and he hit him with the chair repeatedly. Knight then took Waller over to the table, the announce table that is, but Waller hit LA Knight with a foreign object. I didn't necessarily see what it was, but it was a foreign object. LA Knight was on the table, Grayson Waller with a beautiful diving elbow drop from the ring to the announce table, through Knight, through the table, and then Waller then used Sanga as a stand, as a boost to get to his feet, and Waller wins the last man standing match. Great fucking match. Great match. Awesome material right there, and I do believe Grayson Waller has a bright future. After that match, I think people should start paying attention to Grayson Waller. Really, really good stuff. That was the match of the night, hands down. Then we move into probably my second favorite match of the night here. Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray versus Kayden Carter and Kacy Catanzaro. This was the second Women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic semifinals. Now, before the match even started, we had Wade Barrett. He was simping over Mandy Rose. He was getting all drooly faced because of Mandy Rose. Because Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction, they were watching from a skybox in the Capitol Wrestling Center. So Barrett was simping over Mandy Rose, and Vic Joseph called him Beta Barrett because he's a beta male. So Vic Joseph called him Beta Barrett. So Barrett then said, You're like the king of betas. Matter of fact, you are a master beta. If you get the joke there, wink, wink. I don't know why, but I laughed. I really did laugh. That right there, that was probably my favorite part of the show. Vic Joseph called Barrett Beta Barrett, and Barrett called Vic Joseph a master beta. If you get the joke. I don't know why, but that right there, that was very funny. I like the wittiness. I like the wittiness there. Master beta. I like it. So that made me laugh. Now we got the match. And this match was great. This match was probably the best women's match of the NXT 2.0 era. And it really does highlight, A, how good Kaylee Ray is, B, how good Io Shirai is, but we already knew that. But it really goes to show everyone how underrated and underappreciated Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter are. Kacy and Kayden are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. So the match, excellent match here. The best women's match of the NXT 2.0 era. We had some swift counters. We had a super kick and a crossbody by Kayden Carter. Corkscrew crossbody by Kayden. And they were in control, were Kacy and Kayden. Coming back from commercial, Kayden Carter with a DDT on Io. Kacy tagged in. She lit up Io. We had an alley-oop roll-through facebuster. That got a 2. Io then took over with a 619 on Kayden and a big missile dropkick for a 2. Kaylee Ray hit a gourd buster drop on Kacy Catanzaro. So Carter with a flying flatliner for a 2. Really good stuff. The crowd was loving it. Carter then shoved Io Shirai out And this right here was absolutely fucking crazy. I've never seen anything like this before. So Kaylee Ray was put on the shoulders of Caden Carter, was Kaylee Ray. Casey Catanzaro got up on her shoulders, Kaylee Ray's shoulders, so it was very similar to what happened on Rampage a few weeks ago with Andrade doing a powerbomb stolen suplex on Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. Very similar to this. Casey Catanzaro with an electric chair Poison Rana combination. I've never seen this in my life. Casey Catanzaro jumped on Kaylee Ray's shoulders while Kaylee Ray was on Caden Carter's shoulders, and Kaylee Ray was the victim of a electric chair Poison Rana combination. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I swear to God, I thought that Kaylee Ray was fucking paralyzed. It looked brutal. That was probably the spot of the night for me. I've never seen that before. So Io then shoved Caden into Casey to break it. Kaylee Ray then hit the KLR bomb and then the moonsault by Io, and they win it. Great fucking match. Probably the best match that we've seen in the women's division throughout NXT 2.0. Second best match of the night. This match was better than anything on Raw and SmackDown all week. These four women absolutely knocked it out of the park. Awesome fucking match. Casey and Caden, very underrated. Very, very underrated. So we get MSK versus Imperium then for the NXT Tag Team titles. Creed brothers were actually attacked. I don't know why they did this. The crowd was actually chanting for the Creed brothers. They didn't give a shit about Imperium or MSK. They wanted the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers actually came out and caused a disqualification. So here's what I have to ask. Here's what I want to ask. Why exactly did this need to happen? Why exactly did we need to have the Creed brothers get attacked, and then we get this tag team match between MSK and Imperium only for the Creed brothers to cause DQ? Are we looking for a triple threat tag team match at Stand and Deliver? I understand that you're trying to take inspiration from AEW and their tag team division, and I understand that you need to sell tickets because NXT sucks, but you really couldn't have waited. I don't understand why we didn't have Imperium just wait, and then you could have done the match at Stand and Deliver. And if you weren't going to do the standard one-on-one match at Stand and Deliver, I don't understand why exactly we needed to have a scenario where the Creed brothers were attacked, and now we get this triple threat match. Why is MSK even there? They were the runners-up in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. They shouldn't even be there. How is that fair to the Creed brothers who just went through a tournament and won a tournament to get this opportunity, and they don't even get their one-on-one match? Creeds should get their one-on-one match. We don't need MSK in there. It doesn't make sense. Now, the match is going to be better with MSK in it, but I don't understand why we needed them there. It's stupid. If you wanted to do a scenario where you were going to get the match at Stand and Deliver, you should have just done the Creed brothers getting their shot at Stand and Deliver without all of this bullshit and this attack angle. That was stupid. Next week, though, NXT 2.0 actually looks pretty decent. I'm not going to lie. Next week, we got Cameron Grimes and Santos Escobar for the NXT North American title in a qualifying match. There's a 5-man ladder match, and I think this is going to be great. 5-man ladder match at Stand and Deliver. It's Carmelo Hayes versus 4 other competitors, and we got a qualifying match. So, again, WWE inspired by AEW, but they're not competition, yet you're copying and pasting their ideas. Now we get a ladder match for the North American title, and it's a qualifying match type of ladder match where you got to qualify to get a spot in the ladder match. Wow. We haven't seen that one before with the Face of the Revolution ladder match. But we got a North American Championship ladder match qualifier between Cameron Grimes and Santos Escobar. A-Kid is coming to 2.0 next week. I actually fear for A-Kid's life. A-Kid is taking on Kushida. Now, that should be great. That should be great. We also got Indy Hartwell versus Persia Parada. Not really sure how that's going to end. Main event, Bron Breakker, Tommaso Ciampa, and Dolph Ziggler. This was for the NXT Championship. Now, before we get into the ending and before we get into anything regarding what took place in the end of the match, I will say this. This match was a great match. That much I will say. The match was great. The match was very good. The match was very good, but the ending, again, like I stated before, the ending just completely caught me off guard. It confused the shit out of me. So, Bron Breakker, Tommaso Ciampa, and Dolph Ziggler worked their asses off. Great triple threat match here. Bron Breakker with a double suplex on Ciampa and Ziggler. So then the fight spilled to the floor. We come back from commercial. Bron Breakker with a belly-to-belly suplex on Ziggler. Pop-up flapjack on Ciampa. Then he locked in the Steiner recliner. Ciampa was in pain. Ziggler then with a sleeper. And they all traded punches back and forth. Ziggler with a famouser and a zigzag combination. Very close near fall. Ciampa kicked out. You had a jumping DDT on Breakker and a fairy tale ending. Ziggler saved it. Bron Breakker with a spear. One on Ciampa and then one on Ziggler. We had a big military press slam, but Robert Roode came out of nowhere and pulled the ref out of the ring. Breakker then took out Robert Roode. Ciampa then with Willow's Bell and a fairy tale ending. Ziggler tossed Ciampa away. Breakker just kicked out of that. Awesome near fall. Awesome near fall right there. Awesome near fall. Then, all of a sudden, Roode then took out Breakker. Ciampa was on the receiving end of a super kick, and Dolph Ziggler pins Ciampa to win the NXT Championship. Like I said, this right here is desperation in its purest form. Desperation if I've ever seen it. A great match, but Dolph Ziggler, he is now the NXT champion. For what? Because they can't get the job done with who they have on NXT. So they're pretty much admitting that this current version of NXT is a fucking failure. They're pretty much admitting that this current version of NXT is a fucking failure. Way to go, WWE. You single-handedly killed the best thing about the company. You single-handedly killed how Triple H was running NXT and how great NXT was because of your own ignorance and your own out-of-touch mentality. Now what? Now what? Now we're in a scenario where Dolph Ziggler's the NXT champion. I don't even know if he's going to lose the title right back to Bron Breakker or not, since Bron Breakker is reportedly coming up to the main roster. But whether or not he loses the title back to Breakker or Breakker gets called up to the main roster, Dolph Ziggler, it was just so fucking stupid of him to even get the NXT championship. If Bron Breakker was going to get called up to the main roster, here's a question. If Bron Breakker was going to get called up to the main roster, why did he even win the fucking title? Why did you even bother giving him the title? He held it for, 9 weeks? And that's it. Why did you even bother giving Breakker the NXT title if you didn't have long-term plans to keep him as the NXT champion? You would have been better off with Ciampa remaining as the champion and then dropping it to Ziggler, because Ciampa was on a decent little run for himself. Ciampa held it since September. So now Bron Breakker wins it, and then he just drops it right back to Ziggler. There's no sense of long-term booking, long-term planning, long-term storytelling. There's no clear-cut direction. You put the title on Ziggler because you're fucking desperate, because you need to get ratings up for NXT. Let me tell you something. After this current deal is over with USA Network, they are not renewing NXT. I'd be shocked if they did. I'd be shocked if they did. This was an absolute fucking waste of time having Ziggler as the NXT champion. And no matter what happens, Ziggler, he ain't going to bring eyes. He ain't going to bring eyes to NXT. He ain't going to do anything for NXT. He ain't going to do anything for NXT. He's not going to do anything for the ratings. He's not going to do anything to generate any sort of interest in the WWE. Nothing. A great match with the wrong outcome. Bron Breakker should not be in the conversation to be called up to the main roster. He is not ready. Ziggler should be nowhere near the NXT Championship. And you have made Bron Breakker's NXT title reign look meaningless, and you ruined his momentum. He's not buried, but you ruined his momentum. Decent show, a decent wrestling show, but the booking on the show just pissed me off. There's no sense of legitimate long-term storytelling. I don't give a shit. I really don't. NXT sucks. It's dead. NXT is a dead show. They will not be renewed by USA Network. And if they are, I'd be shocked. Jaw to the floor shocked. That was NXT. We got 4 more shows to go over. Once again, I thank you for sticking by me and watching good old DJ Storms talking about professional wrestling. Couldn't find the right words. I saw in the chat someone said that Bayley's a free agent. Let me tell you something. I don't see her leaving WWE. I don't. She's not leaving WWE, to be quite honest with you. What Bayley's doing is she's just playing the game. I guarantee you right now, Bayley is going to do the same thing that Styles and Owens did. She's going to ask for more money. Now, they didn't ask for more money. They were offered more money, but I guarantee you that Bayley's probably going to ask for more money. She's probably going to ask for more money, and then she's probably going to sign that dotted line if she gets it. If she doesn't, she'll probably stay with WWE. She has Sasha because they're best friends. You know for a fact that Bayley and Sasha, they're in this together. I don't see Bayley going to AEW if Sasha's not going to be there. They're like the female version of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're in it together. We'll see what happens there. I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, if Bayley goes to AEW, I mean, that's it. It's over for him. It's over for him. What are they going to do if Bayley ends up going to AEW? Now, this is just a thought. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, though. AEW, though, speaking of AEW Dynamite this past week was a great show. AEW Dynamite this past week was a phenomenal show. We had a lot of great things coming out of this week's AEW, a lot of great material. First off, we started off with Chris Jericho kicking off the show. He took the mic. He talked about Revolution. He was very happy about his match that night and his performance. He thanked Eddie Kingston. For awakening something in him that he never thought would ever come to fruition. He said that he didn't live up to his word, and he was frustrated. He said, "You beat me, and you deserve my respect. Eddie, if you're back there, I want to apologize to you face to face." So Eddie came out, and he said, "We're going to get real deep. The Friday night before the show, I didn't want to show up. I wanted the poison. I wanted to drink. You got my head, Chris. But I had people come up to me after that article came out, and I wanted to make those people proud. All I can say is that I hope I did you proud." He was speaking to the people that he had the pleasure of talking to that was inspired by his article. He then asked, "Why didn't you shake my hand? But you were proud, but you proved me wrong. You are still the man." Jericho then said that he was right, was Eddie Kingston, and then he thanked Kingston, put his hand out. They indeed shook hands. All of a sudden, 2.0 and Daniel Garcia came out. They attacked Jericho and Kingston. All of a sudden, Proud and Powerful then came out to save them. Jericho then took his bat, Floyd, and all of a sudden, he cracked Santana and Ortiz with it. Jericho then took the bat and he attacked Eddie Kingston. Jake Hager then came out. He was conflicted on where he wanted to stand. He stood with Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia in 2.0. He was then hitting Kingston too. Hager then, this was brutal right here. Hager powerbombed Eddie Kingston through the table, folded him up like an accordion. That looked nasty. Very nasty. And then Jericho said, "This is the Jericho Appreciation Society, and that is entertainment." Then they put the middle fingers up in the middle. This was awesome. This was awesome. Jericho looks like the dick. Heel Jericho is the best Jericho. Heel Jericho is the best Jericho. This was awesome. Awesome stuff. Heel Jericho is the best Jericho, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. And you know what? This is also great because Hager needs Jericho. Jericho doesn't need anybody. Jericho doesn't need anyone by his side. He's great on his own. But Hager, obviously, he needs Jericho. He would be lost in the shuffle. Hager would be lost in the shuffle. And Sammy and Proud and Powerful, they don't need him. Sammy's great on his own, and Sammy is going to be a world champion someday. Jericho did all he could for Sammy. Same thing with Proud and Powerful. Proud and Powerful, they're your next tag team champions, or they should be your next tag team champions, hands down. They should be your next tag team champions. So, Proud and Powerful, they got their own business to worry about. They're probably going into this feud with 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. They're going to be the next tag team champions, hopefully. They don't need Jericho anymore. 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, they're great at what they do. Now that they are with Jericho, now this is going to give them a purpose. This is going to give them a sense of direction, and this is going to help them get more over as heels and help get them more over as in-ring competitors. This is great. And I love the fact that it's 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, he's a young buck. He hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's a young buck, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. If he's this good now, imagine how good he's going to be in 5 years. In 2.0, they're as charismatic as ever, and they could learn a lot from Chris Jericho. This is only going to do Daniel Garcia and 2.0 good. And now Proud and Powerful and Sammy, they can branch out and do their own things. No more Inner Circle. The Inner Circle's dead. Jericho, he's fantastic at what he does. One of the greatest of all time, hands down. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying to yourself. They're lying to themselves. This is going to be great. Jericho Appreciation Side. This is going to be fucking awesome. Hangman Adam Page versus Dante Martin, AEW World Championship. And for those of you wondering why Dante Martin, why he got an AEW World Championship title opportunity, it's because he was number 2 in the rankings. And you know what? It doesn't matter if there's no story. You know what the story is? Tony Khan is giving Dante Martin an opportunity. Tony Khan is giving Dante Martin a chance to make something of himself. And this is what I love about AEW. They give opportunity to young, up-and-coming rising stars. And it's a great thing to see. It really is a great thing to see. Now, I don't want to play the role of Vince McMahon breaking up tag teams and shit like that. I don't want to play the role of Vince McMahon and start breaking up tag teams. I don't. But when Top Flight breaks up, if they break up, Dante Martin, I see Jeff Hardy 2008 in Dante Martin. I see a guy who's going to break away, and he is going to be a big single star just based off of his work rate. I see Top Flight as the new Hardy Boys, and Dante is Jeff. Jeff Hardy was world champion. I feel as though Dante is going to be a world champion in the next 10 years. I'm telling you, I see it. He's got it. This was a very solid match. It only went about like 8 minutes, 9 minutes, but very solid for what it was. I actually wish it would have gone longer. I love Pac and Wheeler Yuta, but I wish that match wasn't on the show, and this show would have had a longer world title match. That would have been better. So this was a very solid match. Dante was in control early with some swift counters. Page with a fallaway slam. Page then took over coming back from commercial. Dante came in with a big shotgun dropkick for a 2 and a nice springboard moonsault. Adam Page with a powerbomb out of midair for a 2. Now, this was great. Back and forth counters, moonsaults and dodges, very swift counters. Adam Page, he delivered a buckshot lariat to end this counter, and Adam Page retains the championship. Very solid match. Page, I've said it once, I'll say it again. He is the best babyface world champion that we have seen in years. Adam Page is fantastic in this role. And to be quite honest with you, I would actually have him go to All Out with the title. I'd actually extend it that far. He's great. Adam Page is great. So Tony Schiavone was going to interview Adam Page. Page then invited Dante back into the ring, and he praised Dante for making it in the singles division. Adam Colden came out, and he said, I took you to your limit, and you got a fluke victory. Of course he did. That's Adam Cole. Colden challenged Page to a 6-man tag team match, and Cole chose to keep fighting until he becomes the world champion. So it looks like we're going to see Kenny Omega next week. I'm calling it. We're going to see Kenny Omega next week. We're going to be looking at Omega and the Bucks versus the former Undisputed Era boys, the Paragon, as they're calling themselves. Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, with William Regal in their corner, they took on the Workhorsemen. That's Anthony Henry and J.D. Drake. They had some stiff strikes in this match. Let me tell you something. When Moxley and Bryan are in the ring, you know that they are going to hit you hard. They are going to be stiff when they're in that ring. Moxley and Bryan look great together. They look great together. Bryan, he won the match with the LaBelle lock. I like it. Afterwards, Tony Schiavone interviewed them. He asked Regal about the partnership. Regal talked about his struggles, and he says that he's here to be with these two gentlemen. He talked about how Bryan mentioned him and how he was fighting Jon Moxley. He talked about how Bryan was the perfect wrestler. He talked about meeting Moxley and their battles, and he wanted to unite them for the younger generation. But I warn you, you step up to them, you will either get, you can either step up or you can get stepped on, said William Regal. I love it. Now, I'm not for makeshift tag teams, and I really don't want to shaft Proud and Powerful. I don't. But I don't know how you are not looking at Moxley and Bryan versus Jurassic Express at Double or Nothing. I don't know how. I don't know how you're not looking at Moxley and Bryan versus Jurassic Express at Double or Nothing. That right there, money fucking match. Money fucking match. So that promo was awesome. Then we get into Pac versus Wheeler Yuta. I'm glad they got a showcase. It's always great to see Pac. Pac actually deserves a lot. I actually hope that Pac is TNT champion soon. If I'm booking this, I'm building up Pac as one of the top competitors to take the TNT title off of Scorpio Sky, and then we could possibly be looking at Pac and Andrade for the TNT championship a little bit later down the line. That's how I would do it. Pac should be the one to beat Scorpio Sky, and then we get Andrade versus Pac, and we get the revisitation of that feud, because that feud was awesome. Those two matches, Pac and Andrade, those two matches that they had were fucking amazing. We need to see those matches again. But this was a fun little sprint right here. Pac wins with the Brutalizer. Nice little fun little sprint right there. The AHFO, they had a board meeting. Matt wanted to start fresh. Andrade wanted to fire him. Andrade was asking what happened. Matt goes, every time I put on a suit, I transform into an asshole. Andrade then wanted to take a vote. Andrade voted thumbs down. Private Party then voted thumbs up. But after Matt was talking to Andrade, Private Party then turned it upside down. Andrade then said, in this business, you always watch your back. Matt was then attacked. Andrade then was saying into the microphone, I am the boss. All of a sudden, Darby and Sting came out. They were ready for war. They attacked, but they were overwhelmed. All of a sudden, Props to Tony Khan. He got the rights for Loaded, the Hardy Boys theme song. And indeed, we saw Jeffrey Nero Hardy come out, dancing his way to the ring. That became a fucking meme right there. Jeff Hardy dancing his way to the ring. And he saved Matt. He saved Matt from the attack. The crowd was going fucking nuts. Matt delivered a twist of fate. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Hardy with a picture perfect swanton bomb. And the baby faces ended up standing tall. Awesome. Telling you, we are on the cusp of something. Can you imagine this? Now, I'm not sure who's going to take the titles off of Jurassic Express. I would do Proud and Powerful. But, dude, can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine if we get Moxley and Bryan beating Jurassic Express at Double or Nothing, and we go into Full Gear at the end of the year with Moxley and Bryan versus Matt and Jeff Hardy for the AEW World Tag Team Championships? Holy shit. You want to talk about match of the year? That right there could very well be match of the year. On Rampage, we got Shane Swerve Strickland. Love me some Swerve Strickland. He was scheduled to compete against Tony Nese. They were actually the main event of Rampage. We'll talk about that a little later on. Wardlow. He was interviewed by Tony Schiavone. Tony was very happy with what Wardlow did to MJF. Wardlow then told the world that it was time to take a chance on himself. But he walked away from one cage and into another, talking about how he walked away from the cage that he was in on the Indies, but he walked into another cage, being MJF's bodyguard. He says, I spent time giving Max energy. I grew up very poor. I watched my mother struggle, raising me and my two older sisters. I knew pro wrestling would provide me and my family with a better life. Max, when you slapped me, you decided your own fate. And I'm still under contract, but I don't give a damn. I am no longer a member of the Pinnacle. I am no longer your bodyguard. I am finally free. I've wasted 3 years on him, and I'm not going to waste any more time on him. So just let me go. Which obviously that's not going to happen. Max isn't just going to let him go. But he said, I'm not stopping at the TNT title. I want it all. And I'm going to let everyone know that AEW is Wardlow's world. Great. It's awesome. This right here, brilliant promo, really humanized Wardlow, and it really makes the crowd want to cheer him even more. This is a great thing. It's a really, really great thing. And I'm very much happy that they gave Wardlow this opportunity to showcase to us the man behind the beast. And next week, I'm telling you, from the moment he mentioned MJF, he's like, just let me go. Let me release me from my contract. That's not going to happen. That ain't fucking happening. Let's be real here. We will see MJF show up next week. MJF is going to come in. He's going to hit Wardlow with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and we will indeed see MJF cost Wardlow the TNT title, and we're headed towards MJF and Wardlow at Double or Nothing. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. This was a great promo by Wardlow. Jurassic Express versus The Acclaimed. Everybody loves The Acclaimed. Just for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. I wouldn't have done this match here. I would have waited a couple of weeks because it seems like Jurassic Express, they're defending the championships legitimately every fucking week. You don't want to run thin of tag teams to fight Jurassic Express. They already have 5 successful title defenses under their belt. They beat the Gun Club. They beat Private Party. They beat the Dark Order. They beat Red Dragon, the Bucks, and now they beat The Acclaimed. 6 teams already. Slow it down a bit. Take some time. But the match itself was very good. It went about 10 minutes. Really good showcase for these two teams. And Jurassic Express, I've been loving their tag team title reign. So The Acclaimed, they isolated Jungle Boy. Luchasaurus got the tag. He lit up The Acclaimed. We had a Tope Con hero by Jungle Boy on the Acclaimed. Luchasaurus with a chokeslam moonsault combo on Caster. That got a 2. The Acclaimed then took over. Nice combo by Bowens, and then Caster hit the mic drop. Luchasaurus saved it. We had a nice combination slam. Jungle Boy then kicked out. Very close near fall. Jurassic Express then won with the assisted Escalera Doomsday device. And Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus retain the titles. They are doing very well with the Tag Team Championship. Very happy that they have been given this opportunity. And I can absolutely see them either fighting Proud and Powerful or Moxley and Bryan at Double or Nothing. I would prefer Proud and Powerful so that way they can get their opportunity. Thunder Rosa versus Legit Layla Hirsch. This was an AEW Women's World Championship title eliminator match. I don't know what's going on with Thunder Rosa, but you can visibly see that she's hurt. I honestly, I can see that she's not very intense. She's not very fluid. And I don't know what's wrong, but it seems as though her thigh, her quad, her hamstring might be hurt. I'm not sure what happened there, but I like to hope. I really do. I'd like to hope that this is not going to result in Thunder Rosa having to lose again next week. I'd like to believe that the injury is not that serious. I mean, if she's wrestling, maybe it's not that serious, but her intensity just isn't there. She's a little sloppy here and there. Legit Layla Hirsch, she was off as well. I'm not sure what happened. These two just did not mesh well together on this night. They had a good match in the past before, but this night they did not mesh very well together. I don't know what happened, but I'd like to believe that next week will be better. It has to be better because next week we've got a big fucking show. And their main event in the show, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. It's a steel cage match for the AEW Women's World Championship. So Thunder Rosa ended up winning here with the Fire Thunder Driver. And it was confirmed next week, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, it will be a steel cage match for the AEW Women's World Championship. I hope that Thunder Rosa brings out something better than what we saw against Layla Hirsch. It was not a very good match at all. On Rampage, we had a stacked show for Rampage. Jamie Hayter and Mercedes Martinez, QT Marshall, and Keith Lee, and then Darby Allin and Mark Quinn. Great stuff there on Rampage. We'll talk about that a little later on. Main event was Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. Very good match right here. Always great to see Sammy compete. Always great to see Scorpio Sky compete. So, Sammy's a fucking madman. I just want to make that clear. Sammy's a fucking madman. Sammy set up a table. I mean, of course he did. He does this again. I'm crazy. Oh, we're well aware, Samuel. We're well aware, Sam. You are a fucking nutcase. So, Sammy with a fucking 630 senton. Scorpio Sky moved out of the way. Sammy crashed through the table. It looked fucking brutal. Brutal if I've ever seen it. It looked nasty. And I mean nasty. Fucking brutal spot right there. So, I actually thought he was legit hurt, but he continued the match. He continued the fucking match. I thought he was legit hurt. The guy is out of his fucking mind. He went back to the ring to finish the match. So Sky continued the assault on the back. Sammy then out of nowhere with a springboard cutter. Sky kicked out. Sammy then with a thrust kick and the go to hospital or the go to hell. Sky then rolled underneath the ropes. Sammy pulled him back. He hit the shooting star press, but Sky got the knees up out of nowhere. Paige Van Zant attacked Ty Conti. Scorpio Sky with the TKO, and Scorpio Sky, long overdue for Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky is your new AEW TNT champion. Good for Sky. Good for Sky. Very, very happy that he got the opportunity. Very, very happy that he is in this position. And I really do believe that Scorpio Sky, he's going to have a nice, decent reign with the championship. He's going to have a nice, solid reign with the TNT championship. And we could be looking at MJF. He's going to cost Wardlow next week. That only makes sense. If Sky's a transitional champion, that would absolutely be the wrong decision. There's no reason as to why Scorpio Sky should be a 1-week champion. No reason. But afterwards, Paige Van Zant signed her AEW contract on Ty Conti's ass, and that's the way Dynamite went off the air. Awesome show. And let me tell you something. I think that Paige Van Zant, there's a sleeping giant in Paige Van Zant. If Paige Van Zant is as good in the ring as we saw her presenting herself on AEW television, let me tell you something. We are going to be on the cusp of a great heel run by Paige Van Zant. And if she's as good as we expect her to be, I can see her taking the title off of Thunder Rosa at the end of the year. It's going to be great. Paige Van Zant, I can definitely see Paige Van Zant as a big fucking star. It's going to be awesome. That was Dynamite. Excellent show. Excellent show. AEW is absolutely killing it. They have not had one bad show since the year began. Thank you very much, everyone, for sticking by me. Let's check the chat. How many likes we got? We have exactly 14 likes. Let's see if we can get more. Share the stream out. Let's get some more people in here. Share it out. Let's go. Let's talk about NXT UK. I don't know about you guys, but again, as I've stated, NXT UK, ever since they went back to doing a show in front of no audience, things have not felt the same. And on top of that, I can sense it. I can sense it just by watching it. Vince and Bruce have absolutely taken over the show. It almost really makes me not want to watch NXT UK anymore. And there's some great talent on NXT UK. There's some great talent on NXT UK, and I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It sucks. Now, we got some decent wrestling here and there, but they tried. I want to say that they tried, but I just don't care. The fact that they don't have an audience and the fact that Bruce and Vince have infiltrated NXT UK with some of their tactics, and you could visibly see it, it just makes me not want to watch the show. NXT UK is not as good as it used to be, and it sucks. It sucks that the entire WWE product, across all their shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK, no one gives a shit. It sucks. So the show started off with A-Kid versus Charlie Dempsey. This was A-Kid's sayonara from NXT UK. I very, very fearful for him going into next week's match where he's going to be fighting Kushida. He'll have a great match with Kushida, but I'm scared to see how he's going to be booked going forward. So this was a decent little match. A little too slow. Not really very exciting, but it was decent. Rohan Raja took out A-Kid behind the referee's back, allowing Dempsey to hit this. He locked in this modified cravat ankle lock stretch. It looked brutal. It's like he's being bent back like a fucking pretzel. It was nasty. But this ended in Charlie Dempsey tapping out A-Kid and goodbye A-Kid. Next week, we actually have two interesting matchups that I think are going to be very good. Wolfgang versus Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong's coming over to NXT UK. And we also got Tyler Bate versus Oliver Carter. So that should be pretty interesting. Let's see how they book that match. We have Meiko Satomura versus Isla Dawn. This is for the NXT UK Women's Championship in about 2 weeks. See what happens there. I would love to know where Eva Valkyrie is. Did they fire her? Where is Eva Valkyrie? Did they fire Eva Valkyrie? Did Eva Valkyrie leave? It's like Eva Valkyrie has not been seen since she was beaten by Meiko Satomura. Where is she? Is she injured again? So, Meiko Satomura and Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn, the Scottish version of Alexa Bliss. Isla Dawn's character sucks. She's decent in the ring, but her character sucks. Symbiosis Symbiosis, this is T-Bone and Primate. They took on Danny Jones and Josh Morale. Very basic stuff. Symbiosis get the win. Afterwards, Wild Boar, Mike Hitchman, Wild Boar returned. And Wild Boar, he's obviously pissed that Eddie Dennis kicked him out of the group. Pissed off that Eddie Dennis kicked him out of the group. So obviously he's back for vengeance. He's back for vengeance. Main event was Joe Coffey versus Noam Dar. This was for the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. And this was good. This was good. I'm a fan of Joe Coffey. I love what Joe Coffey brings to the table. And Noam Dar, you know what I would do? I'd end NXT UK. I'd end NXT UK, and I'd bring those championships over. I'd bring those championships over to NXT. I'd get rid of some championships, and I would actually book those NXT championships on NXT. Because NXT UK, it's just flat. There's no roster. There's really no roster. So Joe Coffey versus Noam Dar. This was for the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. This was good. This was good. But these British rounds matches, I'm really not too big of a fan of the British rounds matches, but it was good. So no falls in the first round. Joe came in with a big Glasgow send-off for the first fall. He kept the aggression on Noam Dar with a nice springboard crossbody for a 2. Dar then with some stiff kicks, and he rolled up Coffey for the second fall, so it's 1-1. Coffey then came back with a big belly-to-belly suplex. Coffey then came in with a Boston Crab. Dar and Coffey brawled to the floor as the fourth round ends. Dar and Coffey then came in with some stiff strikes, a big discus lariat. Shaw Samuels and Mark Coffey, they got involved. It was a nice roll-up back and forth. Dar ended up hitting the Nova Roller, and Noam Dar retains the NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. Here's what I will say. I don't like the British rounds matches. The British rounds matches aren't very good. But I will say this. Despite NXT UK having this dead brand, despite it being a dead brand, I will say this. Noam Dar is doing the best work of his career. This is the best that I've ever seen Noam Dar. I don't know what he's going to do after it, but he's really, really, really knocking it out of the park. Really, he is. Now, this was not better than Nathan Frazer versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT United Kingdom Championship. I would recommend you go back and watch that, actually. Go back, rewatch Noam Dar. No, not Noam Dar. Ilya Dragunov and Nathan Frazer for the NXT UK Championship. They changed Dragunov theme song, which was fucking terrible. But Dragunov and Frazer, they put on a fantastic match. I will say that. That was pretty much NXT UK. There's really no excitement. There's really no excitement. There's really no investment. I don't understand how anyone even gives a shit about NXT UK. I once did, but after the pandemic and after the fact that they started to integrate main roster tactics into it, like, I just don't give a shit. NXT UK is a dead brand, and it sucks because there's some fantastic talent on that fucking brand. NXT UK has some great fucking talent, and because of the fact that there's no audience and they integrated main roster tactics into their show, no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. It's sad. It really is. So that was NXT UK. I still watch it. I'm going to continue watching it and make myself aware. Thank you very much, Indigo, for taking the time out of your day to stop by. You guys are great. You guys are great. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. Indigo, Earl Cole, Dee Dee, Danielle, all you guys are great. All you guys are great, and I greatly appreciate all of you choosing me for your Saturday afternoon to talk about pro wrestling. So, let's talk about SmackDown. I don't understand how anyone gives a shit about SmackDown. SmackDown's just as bad, if not worse. SmackDown's actually worse than Raw. I don't understand how anyone gives a shit about SmackDown. So, the only good thing about SmackDown was the fact that Sami Zayn and Ricochet, they put on a very good match. Actually, that match between Sami and Ricochet this week was actually better than the match last week. That was actually better than the match last week. So, SmackDown kicked off with Brock Lesnar. Talked about Roman drawing first blood at MSG. He says that he's here for blood tonight and he doesn't care about WrestleMania contracts or WWE titles. Roman, you done screwed up. Blood for blood, get your ass out here. And then Paul Heyman comes out. And Paul Heyman, he said that Roman wasn't there for Lesnar's protection. Lesnar then told him to shut up. If Roman's not here, who's going to protect you? So Heyman then ran off. Lesnar followed suit. Lesnar was then destroying security on his way to getting Heyman. Heyman then jumped in a car and sped away. Listen, Paul Heyman is the best promo in the industry right now, hands down. Heyman is the best promo in the industry. Roman Reigns is doing some of the best work of his career. And babyface Lesnar is awesome, but this shit is boring. I'm sorry. It's time that someone call a spade a spade. This shit is boring. This shit with Roman and Lesnar, and it's boring. It's it's run its course. It's legitimately the same shit every week. It's the same fucking promo, the same fucking words said, the same fucking people. It's the same bullshit every week. It honestly makes me wish that WrestleMania was tomorrow. So that way we can just have Roman unify the titles and the brand split and get it over with. I just want this to be done. Just get me to WrestleMania, get me the unification match, have Roman win the titles, and that's it. End the brand. That's all I want. I just want to get it over with. I don't give a shit what happens in the next 3 weeks. I just want this shit over with and the brand split to end. WWE needs a complete fucking reset. A complete fucking reset. Roman needs to win, unify the belts, end the brand split, and then go from there. We need new faces. We need a new booking tactic. We need a new vision. We need new everything for WWE. We need a complete fucking reset. Everyone's talking about the great reset in terms of politics. We need to get these fucking liberals out of here. That's what we need. We need to get the liberals out of the country. But you want to talk about a reset? We need a fucking reset for WWE. That's what we need. This shit needs to end. We need new everything. Heyman, Lesnar, Roman, it's the same shit every week. I'm over it. It's fucking boring. Anyone who's invested in this, I'm telling you, your standards must be low as shit. I'm done. Get it over with. I want something new. Ridge Holland, get a load of this. Ridge Holland and Sheamus, they introduced Pete Dunne. Now, originally, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Pete Dunne with Sheamus and Ridge Holland. It's a pretty decent pairing. They look like legit killers. They changed Pete Dunne's name to Butch. B-U-T-C-H. Butch. All I can say is, fuck Vince McMahon, fuck Bruce Pritchard, and fuck anyone who just glosses over this. This is absolutely fucking horrendous. I don't know where these fucking names come from. In this era, in the last 3 years at least, WWE has given us some of the worst fucking names that we've ever fucking seen in terms of professional wrestlers. We had Ivar and Eric get renamed as the Viking Experience. Dominic Dijakovic was renamed as T-Bar. We had Shane Thorne renamed as Slapjack. Piper Niven renamed as Doudrop. We had Walter renamed as Gunther. And now Pete Dunne is renamed Butch. Pete Dunne is finished. buried. Pete Dunne is buried. I don't want to hear a single fucking peep out of anyone. I don't want to hear an excuse. I don't want to hear a but nothing. But suck my dick. That's the but. But suck my left testicle. That's the but. But nothing. Pete Dunne is buried. Pete Dunne is buried. You had Pete Dunne come on in and he makes a name for himself off of the name Pete Dunne. There is no copyright issue. There's no legal document issue. There's no issue, period. What fucking reason do you have to change Pete Dunne's name from Pete Dunne to Butch? What the fuck is a Butch? What the fuck is a Butch? The fact that this was clarified and this was written down and finalized and given the check mark by Vince McMahon, I swear to God, I cannot tell you how angry I was. I legitimately, at this rate, I'll fucking take Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey any day of the week. I wanted to put my fucking head through a wall when I heard that. Pete Dunne is going to be on the next round of cuts within 6 months to a year. I'd be surprised if he even lasts that long. No one is going to take Pete Dunne seriously with the name Butch. And on top of all that, he came out looking like Madcap Moss. He came out looking like Madcap Moss with the fucking suspenders. How is anyone supposed to take Pete Dunne seriously now? I swear, I cannot even fathom. I cannot even contemplate. And I can't even form the correct words. I don't have any fucking words to even describe how unnecessary and how terrible this was. Pete Dunne is absolutely finished. He is buried. No one is ever going to take him seriously. He's been slotted into the dewdrop role. Great wrestler, dead career because of the name. But yet some people have faith in A-Kid. Some people have faith in Tommaso Ciampa. Some people have faith in LA Knight. All of those individuals, they're either going to get their name changed, they're getting buried, or they're getting released. Maybe all three. Maybe all three. I will never, ever recognize him as Butch. What a fucking joke. Everyone a part of Vince McMahon's team needs to be fucking fired immediately. Big E and Kofi Kingston, they took on Ridge Holland and Sheamus. How many times have we seen this match? The big story of this match was Big E landed on his neck. Ridge Holland suplexed Big E, landed right on his head. Now, Big E was stretchered out. He posted a video. He says his strength is fine. He can move his hands. But he broke his neck. He has a broken neck. So I'd like to hope that Big E is going to be okay. I'm not sure how long this surgery is going to take. I actually feel bad for Kofi Kingston, too, because now he's got no one. Woods is out. Big E is out. What's going to happen now? I don't know. But Big E, prayers to Big E. I hope Big E's okay. Ridge Holland actually visited Big E. Ridge Holland went and he actually visited Big E at the hospital. So props to Ridge Holland. Class act. Much respect to Ridge Holland for doing that. The one thing I will say is Ridge Holland really needs to slow it down a bit. He really needs to slow it down. He needs to get things correct, and he needs to learn how to execute moves properly, because if this continues, I'm telling you, it's not going to favor well for anyone that steps in the ring with Ridge Holland. I'd like to hope that Ridge Holland, he needs to go back down to the PC and start training a little bit more. Ridge Holland, he's way too stiff. Way too stiff. He's injured a lot of people. So, Sheamus with a bro kick, and he pinned Kofi for the win. Pete Dunne then attacked, and that's it. The heels stood tall. Pete Dunne's buried. Prayers to Big E. Fuck Vince McMahon. That's all I got to say. Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders, they were supposed to take on Happy Corbin Jinder Mahal and Shanky. That never happened. That match never happened. WWE with the good old book baiting us, good old book bait and switch. Viking Raiders were attacked by the heels in the back. They all came down to the ring and they swarmed McIntyre. McIntyre ended up fighting back. He destroyed everyone as Corbin looked on. The most horrendous WrestleMania of all time, people. The most horrendous WrestleMania of all time now has Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin, crappy Corbin on the show. And I'm telling you, I honestly hope throughout the majority of this show that they do the wave, they play with beach balls, they chant AEW, especially during this match and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. Speaking of Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte, Ronda came out to address Charlotte. She talked about Charlotte's ignorance. Man, Ronda really trying hard. Ronda's really trying hard to make me a fan of her. And you know what, to be quite honest with you, I'm actually siding with Ronda here. Charlotte is an ignorant cunt. So she said that she's been doing more than just making babies and herding cow. She learned the ankle lock from Kurt Angle, and she plans to tap Charlotte Flair out with it. Charlotte Flair then came out. I am ready to drink the bleach. Fuck Charlotte Flair. We've made it pretty obvious here on the channel. Fuck Charlotte Flair. And all of her supporters. So she said, our match at WrestleMania will be the biggest fight of your life, and you won't be tapping me out. Ronda then said, I already did, and I will again. Charlotte then promised to make Ronda tap. Ronda then went, okay, let's see it. I'll give you time to take off your heels this time. Charlotte then got out of the ring. The crowd chanted, you tap out. And Ronda said, I'm either going to go home with your arm or you're tapping out. Charlotte Flair, she's the only individual that is happy right now. And because of her internal politicking, she got Ronda Rousey in a match at WrestleMania. And outside of that, no one gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. The fact that Charlotte Flair did this just goes to show you how little she cares about the division. She is a selfish, manipulative cunt. We've already established this. I said all that I possibly could. Charlotte Flair is a cancer to the women's division, and she needs to go. She needs to go away. If Charlotte Flair was fired tomorrow and she was never in the WWE again, I would not even bat an eye. The woman is a piece of garbage. Sasha Banks and Naomi. They took on Shayna Baszler and Natalya, another makeshift tag team. But yet the women's tag team division is thriving, says the fucking retard with the Charlotte Flair Abbey. I actually thought that Shayna and Naomi were going to win. Shayna and Natalya were going to win this. Sasha and Naomi ended up winning this with the Seesaw Codebreaker by Sasha for the win. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Usos, they came out to address their tag team title reign. Nakamura and Boogs came out, and the Usos saw that clearly they had the advantage, or so they thought, because Boogs had his leg taped up. The Usos were joking. He's like, all right, you want to face us at WrestleMania? You can beat me in a singles competition. We'll give it to you. So we get Jay versus Boogs. And if Boogs wins, they got their match. Rick Boogs faked them out. His leg was taped up, and he undid the tape to showcase to us that he was not injured at all. Boogs legitimately buried Jey Uso in 2 minutes. I don't understand why the Usos always look like losers. Why do they always look like bums? They're directly associated with Roman Reigns, and they're the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, yet they constantly look like losers. WWE has no respect for the champions at all. So now we get Rick Boogs and Nakamura versus the Usos at WrestleMania. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to win the titles. No doubt in my mind they're winning the titles. Next week, we got Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a collision course. They're promoting it as Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns collide, but it's really just a segment. Main event was Ricochet versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. This was actually a very good match. Better than their match last week. This match got more time. So Austin Theory came out to sit next to Pat McAfee. And before the match even started, Pat McAfee and Austin Theory got into a brawl. Pat absolutely destroyed Austin Theory. He lit him up. And both men were escorted out of the building. So it looks like they're trying to pick up steam for their match at WrestleMania. So we got the match starting underway, and it was very good. So Sami and Ricochet, they had nice chain wrestling to start off the match. Ricochet with a nice springboard clothesline and a detonation kick. Sami then shoved Ricochet off the top into the barricade. Coming back from commercial, Ricochet with a quick roll-up for a 2. Sami with a beautiful Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2. Sami then dropped to the floor. Ricochet got cut off on the top again. We had a top rope exploder suplex. Great spot right there. Sami went for the Haluva kick. Ricochet caught him with the recoil. And then Ricochet with the 630 senton. It connected flush. And Ricochet actually wins clean. Ricochet wins clean. No Johnny Knoxville. No Johnny Knoxville. Ricochet won clean. I wonder how long this is going to last. I'd be floored if Ricochet holds that title past WrestleMania, to be quite honest with you. So the match was very good. What happens now with Ricochet? There's no fucking mid-card division. Are we going to get Ricochet versus Sheamus now that Big E's injured? Who is there besides Sami Zayn, Ricochet? Nakamura's in a tag team now. Sheamus and Ridge Holland, they got their own tag team shit going on. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Is Pete Dunne going to win the Intercontinental title? I don't know. I'd be shocked if Ricochet holds that championship past WrestleMania. Does he deserve a long title reign? Yes, he does. Yes, he does deserve a long championship title reign. I'm a big advocate for Ricochet, but do you honestly expect this to last long? I'd be floored. And then after the match, they showed a backstage brawl between Ronda and Charlotte where Charlotte suplexed Ronda onto a car. She actually punched WWE official Pat Buck, and then she locked in a Dragon Sleeper, a Romero Dragon Sleeper on the car. Another weak attempt to try and add fire to the storyline, and obviously it did not work. No one gives a shit about Ronda versus Charlotte. So that was SmackDown, minus the Intercontinental Championship title match. It sucked. It was absolute trash. Let's talk about Rampage, actually, because Rampage is actually very good. Rampage was very good. Rampage is always a great show. There has not been one bad episode of Rampage since the start of their existence. I love me some Rampage. Love me some AEW Rampage. So, first things first. One more time, thank you, everyone. Thank you all for stopping by. We're on to our last show, and then we can get on out of here. You guys have been awesome. You guys have been awesome. Rampage. We got a very good show with Rampage, with the match of the night actually being the opening match. It's usually how it goes with Rampage. They know to start the show off hot. Darby Allin versus Mark Quinn. This was a very good match. Holy shit. These two men did an excellent fucking job here. So Mark Quinn and Darby Allin, they had the opening match. Quinn wore down Darby. Darby then came back with a hip toss. Quinn then tripped up Darby on the apron. Back in the ring, coming back from commercial, Darby with a very nice superplex for a 2 count. And then all of a sudden, Mark Quinn, this was a great spot right here, very innovative by Mark Quinn, a moonsault knee drop for a 2 by Mark Quinn. Mark Quinn then hit a reverse Shiranui DDT for another 2 count. Very innovative. Darby with a very nice scorpion death drop. Darby then was sent to the floor. Mark Quinn with a fucking 450 splash from the ring to the floor, 450 splash, connected perfectly, awesome stuff. Back in the ring, Darby beat the count. Quinn then missed the shooting star press that he went for, and Darby locked in a Fujiwara armbar, and Quinn taps out. Awesome, awesome, awesome match. Afterwards, the AFO, the Andrade family office, they came out, but the Hardy Boys then came out and they kept them at bay. So it looks like the Hardys, they are mixing it up with the AFO for the time being. So a great match to start off AEW Rampage. Then we go into Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter, which this was a very good match too. This was also a very good match too. Again, I say it all the time. People who say that they see that the AEW women's division is lacking, they constantly say the AEW women's division is lacking, are just so fucking ignorant, I swear. Raging Girl Gamer, it's phenomenal to see you. Always love seeing Raging Girl Gamer in the chat. I hope you are doing well. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, by the way. It fucking snowed here in New Jersey. I fucking hate that. It was 70 degrees last Sunday. I don't know why we can't get that every day now. We're over winter, people. We're over winter. So, Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter. Very good match here. Very good women's match. I find it so pathetic how they constantly say, the idiots on Twitter, they say, oh, the AEW women's division has no story. It's lacking. No one cares. Look at this match. Look at all the different opportunities that all these different women are getting. This was a very good women's match here with Mercedes Martinez and Jamie Hayter, and I'd love to see more. So Martinez came in with some stiff strikes and a nice lariat. Jamie Hayter took over. But then Martinez, coming back from commercial, she hit a Three Amigos style suplex combo. Hit her then with a backbreaker for a 2. We had a very stiff elbow by Jamie Hayter. Good stuff right there. We had an exploder suplex into the corner by Martinez. All of a sudden, she took Jamie Hayter up to the top, and Jamie Hayter legitimately got folded up like an accordion. That looked brutal. She got folded up like an accordion. Really, really, really brutal spot right there. Baker then punched Martinez behind the referee's back, and Jamie Hayter with a big lariat, and she gets the win in a very good match. Afterwards, the heels then attacked. Thunder Rosa then came out with a chair, and the heels ran off as Thunder Rosa stood tall going into the steel cage match next week. QT Marshall versus Limitless Keith Lee. Very, very standard match right here. Keith Lee, he ended up winning with the Ground Zero, or the Big Bang Catastrophe. Lee then took out Solo. He delivered a powerbomb, a big, big-looking powerbomb to Camarado, and then he tossed Solo into the pile. Out of nowhere, Team Taz then came out, and they attacked Keith Lee. A beautiful spine buster by Hobbs. Hobbs got Lee up for this spine buster. The spine buster looked amazing. Beautiful spine buster by Hobbs. And they indeed stood tall, did Team Taz. I cannot wait until we get Hobbs versus Keith Lee. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. On Dynamite, we got the 2 championship matches, Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky and Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. We also got Danielson and Moxley taking on Wheeler Yuta and Chuck Taylor. And then we got Adam Page and Jurassic Express versus Adam Cole and Red Dragon. So Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam is looking amazing. Cannot wait for that. Swerve Strickland versus Tony Nese. You want to know the difference between AEW and WWE? I'll tell you the difference. Shane Swerve Strickland wasn't even given an opportunity to make something of himself, and he was fired by WWE. He wasn't even given an opportunity to make something of himself on the main roster. Meanwhile, in his first match here in AEW, he main events their second biggest weekly television program. You want to know the difference? Tony Khan recognizes talent. Tony Khan gives opportunities to real main event level professional wrestlers. And that is exactly what Swerve Strickland is, hands down. Swerve Strickland is phenomenal. And I'm happy to see Tony Nese in there too. I'm very happy they got this main event spot. Very happy they got this main event spot. Swerve is great. Tony Nese, very good. And I'm very, very happy that these two got the opportunity here. And I really do hope that we're going to see more of that. Tony Nese and Swerve Strickland, we need to see more. They could be solid TNT champions. Swerve is as slick as I've ever seen him. Swerve then with a stiff punt kick. Nese came back with a stiff drop kick. He wore down Swerve coming back from commercial. Swerve then was caught with a palm strike. Nese went for the triangle moonsault, but he missed. Swerve then with some stiff chops, a leaping back elbow, and a tilt-the-world slam. Swerve then with a deadlift brainbuster for a 2. Nese then with a spin kick, fireman's carry gut buster, and then a beautiful 450 splash. It connected flush. 1, 2, Swerve kicked out. We had a super kick by Swerve, a stomp to Tony Nese. This was awesome. Tony Nese was hanging by the ropes in a tree of woe on the apron. Swerve ran across the apron with a double stomp on Nese. That looked awesome. Swerve then hit the roll-through flatliner, but Nese kicked out. Swerve then with the house call and the diving foot stomp from the top, and he gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Very good main event, and Swerve gets the win over Tony Nese. Good stuff here. Good stuff, and I can't wait to see what Swerve is going to do when we get further and further into his contract here in AEW. Great shit. Great shit. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Lightning Flash Update. You guys have been phenomenal. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you stopping by. You guys are the best. Thank you, everyone who joined in. And I'm telling you right now, we got plenty more to come. Lightning Flash Update coming up next week. You know it's going to be great. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out all those links in the description. Of course, follow me on all social medias and continuously share out the stream on all platforms of social media, whether it's live, whether it's not live. You guys are great. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm DJ Storms, and this has been the Lightning Flash Update. And remember, who runs the IWC? Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? I'll catch you guys later.